Okay.
Okay.
Hello, audience. I've got my buddy here, Spencer. You've seen him before.
Let's get ready for SchmutzCast!
Did you all miss the horn? Come on, I know you missed the horn.
You did. It's a free app, but you know you missed it.
So if there's any sound weirdness, I'm sorry. We have one mic, and our SchmutzCast boys that provide the audio equipment, they're flat tire on the highway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they've got problems. We've got problems. Everybody's got problems.
Yeah. If you can't hear us, comment down below, and then in real time, we will adjust the
We'll
microphone.
adjust. We'll go back in time.
Yeah.
We'll hit the portal because this is an episode about weird shit.
That's right.
We're all about the weird shit.
We got all kinds of cool shit on the pipeline ready to roll.
We've got all kinds of shit that, disclaimer, we don't believe all of these things.
Not all of them.
We there's some of them that are the real shit that we do believe, but there's some things we like to talk about that we don't believe, but are like, it's like a story. It's like a movie.
Yeah. Some of them, when you hear what's behind them, you think, maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. And then there's some that you're like, that would make a really cool movie, but for the weirdos that believe that shit.
Yeah. Why you can't find tinfoil anymore.
Alex Jones having ass. So before we get into all that, what have you been watching lately? What's on the agenda for TV and movies lately?
Well, honestly, I haven't been watching a whole lot of TV. Have caught the movie every once in a while. The free time that I have gotten, for those that aren't aware, I do have 2 children.
2, not 1.
Count
2.
1, 2. Dos.
2.
Do.
Count them 2 marshmallows.
Can I borrow a couple of these?
I love SpongeBob references.
But anyway,
they gotta be there.
Anyway, so the free time that I do get is somewhat limited, and what I have been doing with my free time is Far Cry 5 dropped on Game Pass not too long ago.
Crisp.
And when I got back to a game, you're telling me within a 10-minute span, I can drive a Humvee through the woods, practice my Second Amendment right against some religious weirdos, and then go fishing with the boys? 10 out of 10.
You forget my favorite part of the game. Taking a shovel and spear chucking it at random shit. That's my favorite part.
The sound design guy who took that, give him
He needs
a
a
raise.
He needs a raise.
Because you throw that first shovel through somebody's chest and it's a
the
drug.
big thud.
You're hooked.
I don't even want guns in that game. I want to do a speed run of only shovels
Shovels
tosses.
only.
Shovel javelin only.
Pretty sure I saw a video of a guy beating the game with shovels only.
I would watch that intently. I could see myself watching that for hours. But just the sound, the thunk, thunk.
Movies? I did watch the newest Predator movie not too long ago, Prey.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard decent things.
That's exactly what I'd say about it. Because
decent.
when I saw the trailers for it, and I was just like, okay, sure. Because, a lot of movies do this now, where it's like, whenever it's a woman in a conflict, they always paint it in the trailer. They're like, oh, you think I can't do this because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
So, that's not what the movie is, because, she's still a badass.
So it's just the trailer that really...
Yeah, because the trailer, really kind of painted it like it was going to be like that, but it wasn't that.
The trailer does paint it like you're an asshole because you think this woman can't do what Arnold does.
You don't think I can hunt. She does hunt. Nobody tells her not to.
I mean, I never said that a woman couldn't take down a predator, so for the trailer to accuse me of such is hurtful.
What I will say about the movie is that it was much better than I thought it was going to be. And it was pretty good. I liked it. But then I see the article pop up the new Predator movie dropped and it's better than the original. And I'm like, oh, hold on.
Let's not get hasty.
Hold on. Let's pump the brakes a little there.
The original Predator is an iconic film.
To this day.
There's nothing that touches it. No Predator movies, no Alien movies, nothing.
Everybody was on their A game. They just told Arnold, throw out whatever one-liners you got. We'll film it. Stick around.
The fucking dumbest shit. You got Jesse the Body Ventura. The body's in the fucking movie.
This shit makes Cambodia look like Kansas.
What a fucking amazing, just just stupid. It's just stupid.
To this day, it's literally the 80s summed up in a movie, and it's incredible. And it's incredible.
What was that one that Arnold did in the 80s? It was like he was in a game show. He was a prisoner.
Running Man.
Running Man.
That's
that
good too.
one also had some corny ass shit in it, and it made it so much better.
I can't remember the one-liner he said, but he like shoots the guy.
Yes.
Fucking like violence sells. I can't remember what he said. But
so many characters in that movie that are like larger than life type.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird.
This is a different time.
But like I get, and it's not because she's a woman. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. But Arnold is a freak of fucking nature.
Oh, dude.
He's like in his prime, a freak of nature, huge. And in the movie, he's portrayed as like this special ops guy. Yeah, he's got all this training.
Yeah, it's a group. It's literally a team of like search and rescue Green Berets, and you know,
they get fucked up.
Yeah, and because you're watching, you're like, oh, these guys know what they're doing, and then they just start getting picked off one by one. It's like, oh.
And even Arnold gets lucky
with
the mud. Yeah. He got lucky.
Yeah.
He was gonna die there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's just,
and then it has nothing to do with her being a woman. It has to do with her being a native with no like training against like war and shit like that.
And she, like in the movie, she's smart. She knows she's not as strong as this predator thing, so she has to outsmart it, and she does, and it's really cool.
I would be down for some traps and all of that shit.
Highly recommend. Anybody listening / watching.
You know, I could kind of get behind that because Arnold does portray himself in every single movie as a muscle bob buff pants with like no IQ whatsoever. And I love it. One thing from the Predator universe that I watched the other day that is so underrated, I love it.
What's that?
I think it's called Predators.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one where they get dropped on the planet and like...
Hunger Games.
Yeah, dude.
Hunger Games Predators.
That shit, honestly, like, it had some hella good actors in it. Mm-hmm. It had Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo. That one guy from King Kong. Peter Jackson's King Kong? I can't remember his name.
Adrian Brody?
Yeah.
Not my favorite part. It's very obvious he's not totally meant to be an action star.
Yeah.
But he did work with what he got.
I liked some of the real weird moments of the movie. Like my favorite parts were like the guy from That 70s Show.
Tober? Matthew Tober? Something? It's some.
Oh, I don't know his name, but we know who we're talking about. He's
sorry, guy from That 70s guy.
What's his character's name? Eric.
It's
Eric.
Mr. Stringbean.
Yeah, Eric from That 70s Show. He's like, they don't know how he fits. Like they're like, this guy's not meant to be here. We're all fucking criminals.
Yeah, they're all like killers, trained killers in their chosen field, and then he's just like a doctor.
Yeah.
And they're like, who's this guy?
And he turns out to be like a crazy scientist that poisons people.
Yeah. Like, oh.
Like that was such a cool twist. The moment that I'll always remember in that movie is early on when Danny Trejo's character dies, and he's sitting there hunched over, and he's like saying, help. Yeah. And he's fucking dead the whole fucking time, and the Predator's making the noise.
Make him an IED, man.
Oh my god, that shit. Oh, I loved that movie.
Because you had Predator 1 in the jungle, classic. Predator 2 was Predator in the urban jungle. You know, got the wonderful Danny Glover, not Donald Glover.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Danny Glover.
I'm too old for this shit, Glover.
Oh my god, that movie was good as fuck.
Yeah, that was also really good. And then I think there wasn't anything else until Predators came out. And that was different because there was, this time there's a lot of Predators.
Yeah.
Well, if you're counting Alien versus Predator.
I don't love that movie. I
don't
love that movie. I think it portrays both characters as weaker than what they are in the other films.
Because the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then I gave it a rewatch not too long ago, and I was like, this is kind of... I'd rather be watching something else.
Yeah, and then the sequel to Alien vs. Predator was so fucking bad. Like, I would watch the first one 10 times before I'd watch the second one once.
Now, the not Prey, the newest one, but the one that came out before that, The Predator.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Don't. It's awful.
Is that the one where it's like they're on a bus?
It's prisoners.
Yeah, it's prisoners.
So
it's
like,
got Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah. So here's my thing with that. If I'm by no means trained in film writing, directing, whatever, but I'm just saying what I felt watching the movie. I think they tried to encapsulate the best parts of 1 and 2, where you had the team in the first movie, and they tried to take the urban setting of the second movie. But the problem with The Predator was that this group of people like did not know each other at all. So they had no chemistry. Yeah. Most of them were just trying to fight each other for the spot of like the comedic relief role. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Predator, the part where I just checked out of, so the main guy, he was like a veteran and he got pinned for sabotaging his mission, so he hid out in Mexico or whatever, and then he got caught to jail.
I did watch the first 20 minutes of that movie, actually.
He sent home Predator technology that he found to his house, like just through the mail.
Express mail.
Yeah, and he was like, my son's smart, he'll figure this out. And he does, but like, there's this weird focal point in the movie about his son having autism, and it's like he figured out, like he sent back a helmet and like the gauntlet, right? And he's like, you can figure this out. It's probably not like poisonous or radioactive or something. My 10-year-old can figure this out, and he figures it out. I guess he just decodes an alien language in like 10 minutes, and then like, but by the end of it, it's like the Predator tries to take the kid, because then they find out like predators are mixing human DNA in themselves, and he was trying to take the kid because he had autism and it made him smart, so they wanted that. And that was the point where I was just like, this seems odd.
It seems like shoehorning a story in a fucking monster movie. I mean, at its core, Predator is a monster movie.
Yeah. It's a movie with a smart monster with an agenda, and that's the scariest. It should be the scariest kind.
Yeah.
But that movie also has the problem of like, you see a monster like flawlessly just like dicing and killing people, but then he fights the MC and he's just like tossing him around for 10 minutes without really causing any damage. And you're like, why is he not just icing this guy?
Yeah.
He did it 100 times 5 minutes ago.
And see, it's bullshit, because Arnold went through some shit. To get to that point.
He watched Billy die. He watched all his friends die.
He fell off a fucking waterfall.
The man's just screaming into the forest saying, come get me. He had to set up a fake trap with a real trap just to get him.
Bro.
And then he almost lost because the dude just like blew himself up at the end. The ending of the first Predator is still one of the most chilling endings to me. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, because there's no reason Arnold should be out alive.
Because he got away, but he didn't win. If another
Predator shows up, Arnold's fucked. He got lucky.
Predator was laughing in his face as he ran off, because he knew like he just still murked all his friends.
It's just, as more Predator movies come out, the less Predator seems like the predators seem like dangerous.
Yeah, yes, it's like they took away the whole mystery of the first movie. Where it's like you didn't see him.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw like the distortion of his cloaking, and you saw like the stuff he left behind, and it's like that was scary, because the scariest thing is what you don't see or what you don't know. But then they show him more and more, and I don't know.
So what do you like more, Aliens or Predator 1?
Aliens? Like the movie Aliens?
Plural. So Aliens is the second movie.
The sequel, that's the James Cameron one.
Yeah. I really like that one.
That's really hard. I guess it just depends on the mood I'm in, you know? I think the one that I like the most is probably Predator, but Aliens is so close.
Yeah,
so
it's right
close. Just Ellen Ripley to this day is my favorite character in any movies at all, because she's just like she's by the book. She's a badass. She don't take no shit.
Yes,
and that just
I really love her character. Who's the actress that plays her?
Oh my god!
I usually know her name.
God, I've been so bad recently with trying to remember actors' names.
I swear to God, dude! Like, I should know her name. She's in a lot of shit.
She's in everything. She's like the mistress of sci-fi.
All right, podcast.
I know she was in that one movie
Oops,
James
spoiler.
Cameron did. What was it? I don't know. Avatar.
Avatar.
Oh, I feel so bad right now.
I wonder if Aliens is derivative of
I
Dances
thought.
with Wolves.
Sorry, Lucas is dead.
Starring
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney.
That would have been. That was tough.
Sigourney Beaver.
Oh, disrespectful.
Hurtful.
Disrespectful. What about you? What have you been into?
All Lord of the Rings all the time.
All Lord of the Rings all the time.
I'm reading books now, podcast. I'm reading books. I'm making myself smarter.
Intellectual.
I'm an intellectual. I never read a book myself. In school, I always had the teachers reading it to me, and if the parts that they didn't read to me, of course I didn't read those parts. I just filled in the blanks.
We got Spark Notes.
We got Spark Notes for a
21st
reason.
century. Who's reading?
But I rewatched Lord of the Rings in preparation for Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got into Rings of Power, and I'm loving it. And a buddy at work is super into Lord of the Rings. Like, he is a Tolkien fanatic. Like, he knows everything. He told me the other day he's read through the Lord of the Rings series at least 20 times.
Oh, and those aren't little books.
No, they're not. They're big, thick boys. So he told me that I should read them if I like it that much, and I went to go get them, and they were a little pricey, and so I asked him if I could borrow a copy, and he let me borrow a copy. I've been reading through it, and I love it. I love the Rings of Power show. I don't know if you've had any interest in
I
that.
like Lord of the Rings. I'm much more, I guess you'd say, a casual fan of Lord of the Rings, kind of like Star Wars. Like, I like the movies. I haven't really read the books or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I've heard more bad than good about Rings of Power.
Really?
Yeah. Just a lot of people. I think what it stems from is that they spent like, it was something crazy. Like, they spent $1 billion just to get. But
they tried to outdo Game of Thrones on fucking...
Yeah.
Big Jeffy Bezos wanted to outdo HBO.
And it's like what they bought the rights for, it like wasn't even the main books. It was like the appendices of like a side book, but they're actually using more stuff than they're technically allowed to do.
So the way it was explained to me by Chris, and sorry Chris if I misquote you, but what he said was that the Tolkien rights that they have is everything that's in the movies, the Peter Jackson films. So the Lord of the Rings book, they can get into all that, and in the Lord of the Rings book, they talk about the Second Age. So they use the stuff that they talk about with the Second Age and kind of expand upon it.
They kind of grandfathered themselves in.
Yeah, kind of, and they kind of are taking some liberties with it.
Liberties as in, like, making Galadriel, like, not Galadriel?
No, she's actually really, like, she's a really good character. I will say her arc in the show, because with Rings of Power, they're going for a Game of Thrones vibe, where there's no real main character. Sure. There's a bunch of different arcs going on at once.
Sure.
And I honestly would say Galadriel's arc is probably my least favorite.
Because I've seen some clips of it, and she, like, because I know they're searching for Sauron, right, or something like that, and
yep. And this is before Mordor is a thing.
They're searching for Sauron, and like she's like, it's like it's a bunch of elves, right? Like, it's not her and humans. It's like it's just elves.
There's elves, there's humans, there's dwarves,
Okay.
there's even hobbits before they're called hobbits. Harfoots,
which is weird.
I like it. I like it. There's some really cool shit in there, and I won't spoil it because I think eventually you're really gonna want to watch this.
I can't spoil it because I haven't seen it, so don't worry.
The first season is definitely a lot of story building so far. There has been one episode that has been a big battle, which was really good. And then there's been rumors that overseas they're filming season 2. And somebody leaked that there's going to be a 2-episode long battle sequence.
Oh.
And the episodes are already like an hour and 15 minutes. Ooh. So that's like an entire movie of battle.
That's a lot of choreography.
And with a fucking budget like that, I'm just excited for it. I'm really excited.
Yes.
And I don't know, it takes a lot to pull me away from Game of Thrones, and I only watched the first 2 episodes of House of the Dragon. the prequel series to Game of Thrones, and everything else has just been Rings of Power. I've been rewatching Rings of Power over watching House of the Dragon, and that's crazy to me because I'm a Game of Thrones stan.
Tight.
I am all in on Game of Thrones. But what else? I mean, really, I've just been playing a lot of online games. Nothing really story driven. The reason I want a PS5 so fucking bad is God of War Ragnarok, brother.
Dude, man, because I only watched like, I did play it when I still had a PS4, but and then I rewatched all the cutscenes and everything.
Yes.
And then I saw the trailer come out, like that bit where Atreus like shot the arrow or whatever, and the whole sky split. Man,
and that little scene that they have of Kratos and Thor going at it,
and they find Tyr too, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be sick.
There's gonna be so fucking much, and like, if Ragnarok actually happens in this game, what's the third game gonna be? Because they already said it's gonna be a trilogy.
Christianity.
Kratos fights Jesus.
Oh, dude, I
would be all in. I'm not gonna lie.
Love to see that. That'd be insane.
I would be all in.
Like, because if anybody's gonna attempt to do that, to have Kratos fight biblically accurate angels, that would be insane. That would
fucking
be
like climbing on them, ripping wings off and shit.
Dude,
oh God, give it to me.
Dude.
Sony, make it happen.
Come on.
Make it happen.
It's just the biggest, most powerful religion in the world. Make it happen.
It's going to be really hard.
They won't do it.
They won't do it. They won't do it. Unfortunately, podcast audience, they won't do it because Christians have a fucking grip on culture and everything. So, like, tight as hell, anything depicting Jesus, and they definitely won't do Islam. They won't do that, which is kind of an extension of Christianity anyways. But, like, I mean, it's relatively the same lore, right? Pre-Muhammad, it's the same lore?
There's a lot of speculation that certain people have of Christianity versus Islam, that they're technically worshiping the same God, that they just don't acknowledge it, but, like, our God says this, your God says that.
Yeah.
But,
so the origin of the God of Christianity and the God of Islam is the same origin? Because they recognize Jesus.
Yeah, like he's a historical figure.
But Muhammad is
their prophet.
Most current prophet.
Yeah, that's their prophet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kratos, I'm of the Kratos religion. Let's have Kratos just go out and beat the shit out of everybody.
Our Church of Kratos.
Like, what's the Mormon guy, John Smith?
Oh,
Kratos
go fuck him up. Go fuck him up.
See this fucking seeing eye stone bitch.
Plus, it's even better because John Smith was like just a dude.
He's just bro. I'm sorry.
Weak.
That fucking whole story is so fucking corny. That he says he's got this seeing eye stone.
Yeah.
That he can. There's words of God on this tablet.
Yeah, only I can read them though.
But only I can read them. You can look through it, but you're not gonna see nothing.
Also, by the way, all black people are bad. Just saying.
Just saying.
Hey, I didn't say it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of women, and we don't like black people. They're just fucking. They're loony.
Sorry, Mormons.
Sorry, Mormons, but you're fucking loony.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, well, you might enjoy the rest. I don't know.
Drop a like.
There is a Netflix documentary that me and Megan have been watching that Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey.
I haven't heard of that.
The fundamentalist Mormons that broke off from the real, like, Church of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
They do some really weird shit.
Ooh.
Really weird shit. Like marrying cousins. The guy that's their prophet that was living up to like 2002. He had 90-something wives and like well over 100 children.
Oh.
And
that's a pretty low ratio when you think about it.
It's wild. The whole fucking series is wild. I haven't finished it yet, but...
I got enough problems with one wife, you know what I'm saying?
I swear to God, I can barely handle the one I got. Sorry, Megan and Ainsley.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Love you.
We love you both. God, our balls are going to be busted so bad.
Mine are already gone. I got the snip.
Congratulations.
No kids, infertile.
My man got the snippy. Two's the good number.
That it is. For most.
You got boy, girl.
Yep.
That's all you need.
I got the nuclear family white picket fence.
I swear.
Good.
If they call in for vault dwellers, you're in.
There we go.
Hey, that's all I'm having kids for. Is just in case, nuclear winter comes, yep. I need to be in the vault.
Preferably one of the weird ones.
I want to be in vault. What was the one where they had like a huge colony of dogs?
We're talking about Fallout lore.
Fallout lore, by the way. What's the weirdest vault?
The weirdest one that I remember was that it was only one dude and like 200 something women.
Yeah, because that lore comes out in New Vegas, doesn't it?
I think so.
That one's, yeah.
I remember in Fallout 4 when like you're getting questioned about your time in the vault or whatever, and she's like, "What kind of vault were you in?" The sarcastic answer is like, "It was just me and 400 gerbils."
I love the responses.
And they were angry.
The voice actor for the Vault Dweller in Fallout 4...
You have to play that game sarcastic only.
It makes it so much more fun.
He sells it.
And he's such a fucking dick.
He has the cant of like a dude with a full case of blue collar misery, just like done with it.
He's like, I don't fucking care at this point. My whole family's dead. My son, who fucking knows where he is? Spoiler. It's been years.
It's
fuck you, Sean's the villain.
We all knew it.
We all knew it from the start. I had that spoiled for me before the game fucking came out.
Yeah, rough.
That shit hurt. It's you remember the memes that was like the weird girl saying 1 cummy, 2 cummy, 3 cummy, 4?
Your son is the villain in Fallout 4.
Your son is the villain in Fallout 4. And I'm looking at memes and I'm like,
well,
all right.
Okay. I guess we're here now.
Still gonna play it, but fuck.
My favorite sarcastic line from that is when Nick, the detective companion you can get, who's also a synth, he said, I couldn't find him anything, because, he had a wonderful 20s Boston accent.
Yes.
And then the sarcastic answer was like, what, the clockwork dick can't find anything? and he's like, it's synth detective, jackass.
Fallout 4, as much hate as it got, is one of my favorite games of all time.
It aged a little bit better than I thought it would.
Honestly, yeah. Like, I am the person, I'm sorry, everybody, I skip the base building. I don't do the base building. It's not fun to me.
I didn't like when they were revealing it. It was like, the base building is totally optional. It's just there.
No, it's the core of the fucking
works,
game.
Except if you do the railroad, like, you literally have to build settlements. It's railroad or the Minutemen. You have to build settlements. Yes. And it's like, it turns the game into like, go here, shoot some shit, pick some shit up, drop it off, go there.
Yeah. Repetitive
Never
as shit. And what's the guy for the Minutemen? What's the main guy?
Preston Garvey. Fuck Preston Garvey.
Preston Garvey.
You're going to make me the general and yet I got to go do the footwork? Fuck out of here. Yeah. You go do it.
What a piece of shit.
You go do it.
And we even saved his fucking whole clan at the very first mission of the game.
General, good you're here. I marked another settlement on your map.
I know you just got back, but hey, head out, buddy.
Yep, time to kick rocks, buddy. We got some stuff to do. Got people need saving. They need some mute fruit. That's what I've been doing recently. Is like sometimes when I'm like up at night, I'll start to curate my load order on Xbox for Skyrim and Fallout 4. And then I'll get it done. I'll be like, all right, here we go. I'm going to bed.
Dude, I fucking have that problem now.
I have been desperately trying to replay Skyrim and Fallout 4 for like the past, like, I don't know, like 2-3 years.
You finally get into it and you're finally ready to play and you're like, I don't want to do it.
The farthest I'll get is like an hour at most, and then something will come up or I'll stop playing it for a week and I'm just like,
Start over.
Start over.
I don't know how many times I've done the first, 3 missions of Skyrim and then just give up afterwards.
Yeah.
So many fucking times.
It's and I've tried desperately to, do one of the alternate start mods and, start somewhere else. And it's
what's the point?
I want to, but I can't.
Dude.
My hubris.
I told Megan about Skyrim, and she was like, that sounds kind of interesting. And I was like, why don't we try to do a save together?
Oh, my God.
Because I was like, that would be fun. I said, you can make the dialogue decisions, and I'll just do the killing.
Yeah.
My favorite parts is the killing.
Oh, here I go killing
Here I go killing again. But, and I told her, I said, this is how the start of the game is. I'll let you pick the character. Mm-hmm. I said, I usually go high elf, but we can do whatever. So, of course, she makes me a human because it looks the most normal.
I'm a Breton guy, personally. Yeah. I'm a Breton or orc guy.
Orc, I can get behind orc.
If I could be reborn into a fantasy race, orc, absolutely.
I think I'd go high elf Skyrim.
Yeah.
I love the high elves. I love the lore behind them. And they're great. And then she makes me the Briton, and we go through the dragon sequence. You pick the beginning of who you're going.
You pick the stone. Cloaks. You go get the claw.
Yeah.
You go fight the dragon.
Yeah.
And then up to that point, all motivation I have just bottoms out, and I cannot do it, and I don't know why.
Well, I got the new special edition version, and that's what I was trying to run through.
The anniversary?
Yeah.
I also bought that foolishly,
thinking
I was going to play
every single version of Skyrim that exists.
Skyrim Toaster Edition.
Even the one on the Amazon Talk Box.
Oh.
I have that too.
Oh.
I have all the Skyrims that have ever existed, every version, every way possible.
Yep.
And I don't know why I do it to myself, but then I get the anniversary edition and it pops up. There's this new mode, the survival mode that you have to eat and drink. And Megan pops off and says, that would be really cool. And I'm like, oh no. I was like, okay,
let's
we
simulate
can do
living.
that. And then by the time I get to Whiterun, I'm dying of hunger, throwing down potatoes like it's nobody's fucking business.
Your boy's starving.
I'm 15 minutes into the game, and I gotta horf these fucking potatoes, and I'm like, I want to kill myself. This is so bad.
That's just my love-hate relationship with Bethesda, is they can push the game out, and they know that modders are gonna fix it. Cause I tried, I did my best. I played it vanilla one day, and I was like, I can't. I can't.
I haven't played vanilla.
This feels
so
wrong. I don't know what it is comparing 16-year-old me or however old I was, and I was just like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah. But now, if I try to play a vanilla, I'm just like, ugh.
Vanilla Skyrim is tough nowadays.
What do you mean?
It is tough. Cause there's so many cool weapons that you only get through mods. There's a bunch of cool dialogue and cool side stories that you can get with mods. And vanilla is just 8 voice actors doing their damnedest to hold this shit together.
If I could sell my sister, I'd sell her in a second. Anyway, what do you want to buy?
I swear, I love it. It adds character to it that the Bethesda games have fucking literally 8 voice actors in total.
Speaking of Bethesda coming out, what do you think about Starfield?
I'm worried.
Worried?
I'm worried.
See, I'm trying to keep a very hopeful optimism, because I know I could be wrong, but I think it's supposed to drop on Game Pass day one.
Day one.
So that's why I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to have to put money on it.
Yeah,
that's a plus. But the hopes and dreams of being able to put as many hours into that as I did Skyrim and Fallout.
Yeah.
I just worry. And I know, because there's already been some shit. I don't know how the game works, but they've already said that there is no flight. There is no space flight.
What?
None.
I think
you go from planet to planet in fast travel.
What they showed the space combat thing, right?
I heard.
I know what you're talking about. It's not a seamless space to planet.
Oh, you're not just hopping.
They're not doing the No Man's Sky thing where you can just drop into orbit and land. There's going to be a loading screen in between there, which is so unfortunate.
It is, because No Man's Sky does that on a procedurally generated universe.
Like, I remember that first time I played No Man's Sky and I just blasted up into space. Dude, what a rush.
Even though the vanilla No Man's Sky was lacking so much shit, the feeling of just taking off on a planet and going straight into space.
They've done so much to that game over the years.
That game is incredible. Fucking incredible.
That's one of those games where it's like, I cannot play this game unless I have laser focus because there's so much to do.
Yes.
Like,
there's living ships now.
Yeah.
There's like, you can get your freighter. You've got an entire frigate. You got so much shit.
You can just own an armada and send them to do stuff. Like, that's awesome.
There's active
you
now.
You could be a pirate.
That's what I was gonna say. The fucking pirate DLC just came out like a couple months ago, like, and they're not asking for a dime more.
No, they're just updates.
And I don't even think there's microtransactions. Maybe there is, but I've never seen them.
Not a one.
And they don't push a single one on you if there is.
Not a one. It's all free updates.
That's crazy. They have it on Game Pass, so they're not making a ton of money off of that. And all the original buyers, I'd say I spent $120 on that game total because I bought the PS4 version when it first came out because it's PlayStation exclusive. And then when it came to Xbox, I bought that version. And that's it. And they just keep dumping out huge amounts of content all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like yearly, there's like 2 expansions to the game that just make it fucking incredible. Yeah. Like, if you can talk about anybody saving a series, No Man's Sky is it's the template.
Like, with all the stuff they've come out with, they could have just probably made a whole new game. But they're filling all their promises they made with the first time.
And they're owning their mistakes. And Sean Murray, thank you. What a fucking guy. I hated you at first, but
he's got one of those faces, to be fair. He's got one of those faces, but
he had the face of a fucking Facebook CEO. And he just, I don't know. He had a lot of promises that he didn't fill, but now not only has he fulfilled those promises, but added so much more that wasn't even an original promise.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
What a fucking, like, that's insane. That's like watching the first season of a TV show and it being okay on Netflix. Yep. But then he's like, all right, I'm just going to put it on YouTube for free for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Some would say Hello Games is having the inverse reaction that CD Projekt Red is having. Whew. Rough.
That's heavy.
Because they just announced, like, Witcher 4 a little while ago, right?
Witcher 4 and a fucking Cyberpunk season.
Yeah, and pre-Cyberpunk, if, like, they came out and said Witcher 4, it would be like, oh, uproar, excitement. Yeah. Now it's like...
Now it's like, do we trust that?
I don't know.
Do we trust that?
Which is, like, so crazy that they could build credibility over decades.
Yes.
And then one little stinker comes out and it's all gone.
Literally in 24 hours, their credibility went to fucking flatline.
Which is really unfortunate, but like...
I can't lie, their storytelling is immaculate. Yeah. Even in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, I'm in the minority. I played it in the first month of launch. Loved it.
Yeah. See, I got it a little bit later and I haven't played too far in it, but I enjoyed myself.
With the patches now, you have an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. Like, I just remember, thumbing through all the perks and everything first time around, and it's like you can throw your knife. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, but you can't get it back, though. It's like, wait, what?
There's so many
and they
cool
fixed
things.
They fixed that since then. But, like...
There's a lot of things in Cyberpunk, story-wise, combat-wise, everything, that is, like, so different from a lot of different games. But there were so many glitches, like game-breaking. I had to play the last 4 hours of the game at least 5 times because there was a game-breaking glitch that if you walked through this specific hallway, you would instantly die and then go right back to where you were like 10 steps before, and it just kept happening. So, and that was in the final mission.
Rough.
And I had no other way to do it other than just keep doing it until hopefully they fixed it. And I guess one day they fixed it. I made it through the fucking door and got through the game. But, like, have you heard this news about Cyberpunk? That ever since the new Western anime came out on Netflix?
Edge Runners.
Edge Runners.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it
I haven't
yet.
seen it either, but it looks cool.
It looks cool.
Popularity with Cyberpunk through the roof.
They amped those numbers up. They had, after a week of Edge Runners being out, they had over 1 million concurrent players again.
Yeah.
And
that's insane.
Back in January, 2 months after launch, there was like less than 1,000 people playing concurrently. Yeah. And they've got it back to 1 million?
It's just the answer we knew all along. Anime sells.
Anime sells. And you give something a fucking backstory like that?
Yeah.
I mean, because that universe is cool. The story is cool. Your game was just broken as fuck.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but I'm in the minority. I got over the glitches. Red Dead had a fucking glitch for me like that too, but worse. Red Dead 2, I played through the first 2 hours of the game 8 times.
Oh.
Before I even played through it the first time, I got to, I think it's where the preacher goes on this train tracks.
Okay.
At the beginning.
Okay.
I got all the way there, finished that mission, and then go to the next mission, and then go through a loading screen, and then it pops the first cutscene. It starts over.
Oh, that's very substantial.
Did it 8 times.
Rough.
8 times, and I was getting so overwhelmed. And I did that 8 times within 48 hours. I wanted to get through it so fucking bad.
And I stand unshaken.
Bro, that fucking scene,
dude,
chills,
man.
bro.
Chills. There's a thing that I've come to realize within the past few years, that there are only certain stories you can tell through the video game media.
Yes.
It won't translate to a movie.
There are some things that video game stories do that nothing has ever touched me that way.
There is just something about giving somebody agency and guiding how the story goes that just really hits home so harder with a lot of people.
Because then you think about it, your thought in your mind is could I have done something different?
Yeah.
And even in a game that is very linear, that story is happening that way no matter what, like The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert for the fucking first 20 minutes of Last of Us. That game is almost 10 years old now.
Yeah,
so
I think people get the idea.
Yeah. The show's coming out. You're going to know. They're probably going to redo that scene.
Probably.
But in the game, it is so much different when you're carrying the daughter to try to get her out of town. When the apocalypse first hits, and the military's trying to contain the city, and you're walking up the hill with your daughter, and the military guy comes up to you with a flashlight, and he says, "Are you infected?" And he's like, "No, we're not infected. This is my daughter. We're just trying to get out. Will you take her? I'll fucking stay. If it makes you feel better, just take my daughter." And he radios his guys, and presumably, you don't know what they say. He's like, okay, order received. And he pulls up his gun and aims at him, and he's like, oh, fuck. So he starts running away with his daughter. Shots go out, or one shot, I guess, goes out. And you see them just roll down the hill. And Joel's okay, the character you play as, he's okay. And he's like, fuck, okay, I gotta get up. Where's my daughter? Goes to look at his daughter, shot straight through the fucking chest.
This is so cliche, but there's certain things that just since having kids, there's certain things that I see now. It just makes me sick to my stomach. This is so out of left field or whatever. But the Hercules animated movie, the very beginning when they take Hercules, and then Zeus finds that he's gone. Dude, that I got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It's since having a kid, I just sat there just pissed as fuck because I just immediately saw myself in that position and I was just oh fuck, you know what I mean? It just just
that's how that type of media fucking grips you. And the soundtrack for a lot of those things, okay, specifically that Last of Us scene, right after she gets shot and she's still alive, but she's obviously gonna die very soon, and she's screaming in agony, not really saying anything of intrigue, not being saying last words or whatever, because she's so young, she doesn't know those are going to be her last words. Yeah. And is just in agony, and then you hear nothing, and Joel's just sitting there like, come on, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay, and she's just dead.
You know, and when you think about it, he wasn't talking to her.
No,
He wasn't talking to her.
no, he wasn't. He was talking to
Himself.
whatever he sees himself to be, and then it cuts to black, and you just hear a couple plucks from an acoustic guitar, like,
and then
oh,
and then that in the ending of The Last of Us,
the ending of The Last of Us,
the controversial ending that got everybody mad about in the start of the second game.
I loved the ending of the first game
because you know what? If I was in that situation, I don't know if I would react any differently.
Yeah,
because like you're this essentially your new daughter. Because she's got nobody else, and you find out, oh yeah, she's gonna die, but it'll probably save everybody. No guarantee, but probably. Yeah. And I've thought a lot about that, and it's like they can't cure people that have already turned.
Yeah.
All they can do is make a vaccine. So by the end of it, it's like, is anything really gonna change? The world is still in disarray.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know there was a lot of talks about the beginning of the second Last of Us that was like it painted Joel as like this sheer villain for what he did, and it's like, I will agree, what he did was not good, but it was like they started the game wagging their finger at us for a choice we didn't make. Yeah, and that's what I didn't play the game, so take it for whatever.
I did,
like, and it's just like that seems a little like not cool.
I don't like. There wasn't enough growth from Ellie in the first game for me to just jump into her being the protagonist. So, like, the first game, you solely play as Joel for most of the game. There is one specific part that you don't play as Joel and you play as Ellie. And then in the DLC, you play as Ellie. But there was not a lot of growth there for her to just, like, for us to jump in time to now Ellie's older and she's just grizzled now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the first half should have still been Joel moving forward, and then you could pull that off.
Yeah. And a lot of people said they pulled like a bait and switch with the second one. Like they did.
I think so.
Spoilers for Last of Us 2.
Yes.
It's like in the opening scene, in the opening section.
Yes, it's very, very early.
Joel got ganked in a very
brutal way.
And honestly, like, a lot of people have said this, and I thought about it, and I also agreed. Like, Joel wasn't acting like Joel. Like, he was completely trusting of these strangers that just showed up. It's like, oh yeah, this is my name. That's my brother. We live down yonder. Y'all want to come with us? Like,
this is our colony. This is our city where we fucking live.
We got all kinds of resources and power. It's like, you want to come down? Like, what? That's Joel we're talking about here. This is Mr. Grizzled, doesn't trust anybody. It took a whole game for him to open up to a tween.
Yeah.
And but I guess you could argue like he learned to open up and be better with people, but like they did him dirty, man.
Yeah, they did him dirty,
and then I know it was like an artistic choice to like make you play as his killer half the game, and it's like people wouldn't play the game just because of that. And it's like, I'm not doing this. But
I didn't like the game. I'm not gonna lie. It not only was the story not exactly very good, but the gameplay was very samey. Very, very samey. And it just, I don't know, it hit me in such a bad way.
Last of Us was one of those games that I was kind of surprised they were making a sequel, because I just kind of thought how it ended was just pretty...
I would have rather
it left you the question of like, what would have happened, you know, like what would you do? And I thought that was just, it totally could have ended like that.
Perfect ending. Wrap it up, put it in a bow, it's good.
But you know,
moolah. And now Sony's gonna end up being the loser in this generation. I feel it coming because there's a lot of heat. Their Game Pass equivalent, trash.
Oh, I haven't heard a lot about what they've been doing with that.
It's bad. It's not good. It's not good. And
this sounds really arbitrary, but I think the moment they lose their grip on the Spider-Man license, it's gonna.
Yeah, because what do they have left? God of War, Last of Us, and Uncharted, which Uncharted is done.
Yeah, I think God of War is gonna be their last strong standing IP, and then they're just gonna.
Yeah, because God of War is about the only IP that I would buy a console for. Spider-Man, I love Spider-Man.
But now it's on PC.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are pissed about that.
Yeah, well, they should be because nobody's going to fucking buy their console now. And, yeah, Xbox doesn't have a ton of exclusives, and they definitely don't have good ones for the most part. Halo Infinite was kind of a trash can.
I fell off at Halo after Reach.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Free roam Halo didn't end up being what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But, with Microsoft acquiring studios, I'm really hopeful for that because with Bethesda specifically having the backing of the money that Microsoft has, we could see some really fucking good games in the future.
Agreed.
And Activision, I mean, fuck them. They're just going to keep making Call of Duties.
Because they're probably going to leave Doom alone at this point. You think they're going to push one or two more out? I don't know.
Think they'll do
I just don't know how much more they can amp up the metal run around chainsaw shotgun, like, because I gotta be honest, I can't play that. That shit stresses me out.
I played the 2016 Doom and then I bought Doom Eternal, played it for like 30 minutes, and I was like, I'm past this point of my life. Like, this is not, like, I don't need a bloodthirsty fucking...
This was my angry, edgy days.
Exactly. I don't need a section where I'm in a circular dome where I'm just jumping around shooting shit.
I don't need my Linkin Park soundtrack in the background. That was a days long gone.
Dude, the fucking... Just...
What I've done! All respect for Linkin Park. No, don't get me wrong. Chester. One love.
Rest in peace to Chester.
Miss you, buddy. But come on.
We didn't need it in every game.
I'll still jam that shit. Don't get me wrong.
I will. In certain situations. I gotta be in a fucking emo phase to fucking hit the Linkin Park.
Yeah. To get your shine down. Oof. Your Breaking Benjamins.
Those moods are like, I'm a deplorable white motherfucker. Like,
where's some drywall? I'm gonna punch it.
I need to punch drywall.
Where's my monster, Mom?
In the end, it doesn't even matter. But, I did a review on YouTube.
Hellsinger.
Yes.
Haven't watched it yet.
Bro, that game's crazy.
Really?
It is what... I can get behind it because it is just like Doom, but it adds something to it, a mechanic to it that changes the entire fucking game.
What be that mechanic? Tell us, Papa.
So, in anybody that's watching, you'll have a more in-depth look.
Go watch the video.
On the video.
While you're there, like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff.
If you don't like it, you can just undo it later.
You can.
It's free.
And I wouldn't know if you disliked it.
Not
they
anymore.
Took away that button. But, so, think of Doom. But there is an exclusive soundtrack that is only for that game, made by a bunch of metal bands, including Surge from System of a Down.
Oh.
Like,
That's a much different vibe.
Yes. So there is some, like, heavy drums.
Yeah.
Heavy guitar.
They got the double kick.
So... You have to, before the game, you have to sync the audio and the video. Like, specifically, you have to, like, time it, click it to set it. And you do combos for this by staying on beat with the music. You've got a sword, you've got different types of guns, and you're in hell, obviously. And as your combo meter goes up, so you have times 4, times 8, times 16. So at times 4, the drums get a little heavier. Then at times 8, you get a little bit of guitar, not a ton, more of like little riffs. And then you get to times 16, you get lyrics, heavy guitar shredding, drums, and it gets so fucking intense. You're just shooting demons. You got these dual revolvers. That's my favorite one. And you're just pop, 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 pop to the beat of the music.
Wake up! Grab a little wake up!
It's so... I wish that song was
Oh my god.
And like...
That's the DLC.
The whole point of the game is to get a high score on each level. There's a boss at the end of each level. And there is a song that just continues through the whole fucking level. And every weapon has its own super. And the super for the sword is it goes on a fucking like I think it's a drum solo, and it's super fast, so you're going foo, 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 and it's so fucking dope. It is awesome.
It's like I really do think their music has been like underutilized in those kinds of games. Like think of like the Devil May Cry games and Metal Gear Revengeance games. Like oh fuck man, like that. It's the one guy's theme from Devil May Cry. It's in a bunch of memes where it's like, I am the storm that is approaching. Like, that shit goes so hard, man.
It does. It gets you so much in the vibe, and a game's vibe changes entirely when you put in some intense ass music.
Like, it can come off as, like, a little campy sometimes, but, man, if it doesn't get you fucking hyped.
And, like, the music can be, like, hype music to get you to, like, fucking, oh, I need to fuck all these people up. Or it can be some, like, really emotional shit, like, Red Dead 2's ending.
Yeah.
Like, I won't get into that because...
Circle back. I already referenced saying it.
Even...
Sorry for singing.
There's that one scene you're just riding a horse, and it's got random zooming in, and it plays that song... And it's right after...
And it keeps flashing to either the wolf or the stag or whatever.
Yes.
That shit was
powerful. The imagery, perfect.
Powerful.
Very powerful to the story. And, like, that's the most pivotal part of the story is that moment. And you just got a mind bomb dropped on you, and you're riding a horse just cruising, and you hear this song going, and it's like, whoa. It's my favorite moment of the game, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even at the ending, when there's a lot of, like, shit going on, the music can be intense in some parts, and then, like, really emotional, like, you know what's coming. Playing the previous game, you know what's coming in the ending, because this Red Dead 2 is a prequel. But, like, you see it coming, but you're like, please don't. Please don't.
Not like this, please.
Don't do it.
Like, don't do it. That's the craziest thing that game gave me, too, because I played the first one. So, I see people in the second where I'm like, I don't remember you. Why don't I remember you? And then, like, that's the thing. It gave me hope.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know what's going to happen to them. But it's like, maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe they got away. Maybe they got away.
Maybe they make it to Tahiti.
Tahiti.
What happened to Tahiti, Dutch?
Dutch. What about Tahiti?
Oh,
what a game!
Man.
What a fucking game! And the guy that plays I think maybe you told me this. The guy that plays John Marston is local.
Yep,
local to our area.
Yep, local. Just regular farm boy.
That's awesome.
I think the story was that his girlfriend or wife at the time also did voice work, and she was like. They're looking for this certain kind of voice, maybe just for fun. Go check it out. And they just loved it. Because he's just a gruff farm guy.
Yeah.
And he nailed it.
Yeah.
Because, like...
He killed it. He killed it.
Just some good old boy.
What? Just fucking incredible.
Anybody can make it.
Anybody can make it. It makes your dreams can be a reality.
Yeah. Anybody out there with, connections, I'm very cheap.
He's a cheap girl.
Very cheap.
But seriously, he's got the voice for it.
If you need somebody who you need a paladin that just yells smite a lot. Fucking.
Even if you need grunts for action sequences.
I don't want to blow out the mic, but you need a really dramatic, gruff man. I'll probably do it.
I mean, I'd probably do it for fun.
I'll work for exposure.
I would be in. You'd put me on anything. If you got indie game projects, voice acting, need it, I'm there. But so if you could let's fucking put a cap on the gaming story.
Do it.
With top 5 stories in video games. Top 5 stories.
Okay, no particular order. Just for sheer nostalgia, and also because it's good, the Mass Effect trilogy is going to be right here forever.
For the podcast audience, he named his son partially after the Mass Effect series.
It was a collection. Well, yeah. It was a few different factors, but I'm going to use that for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, what an iconic character.
It's very subtle, but it's in there.
It's in there.
It's in there.
You got it in there. That's more than most men can do. You got it in.
I got government proof 2 times.
2 times.
Minimum.
So you got Mass Effect.
I got Mass Effect. Story. I want to lump Red Dead 1 and 2 together, as we just discussed why
series.
It's incredible.
We can do series.
We can do series. Okay, we can do series. That's helpful.
But, okay, with the series, Mass Effect, which of the 3, we're not counting Andromeda. But
you tried.
Of the 3, what's your favorite?
Before the ending, it's a meme at this point. The ending of 3 was a bit of a letdown.
It was a bit, but I kind of liked it. Over time, I've grown to like it a little bit more.
because if you take it for just solely for what it is, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, they
kind of alluded to it through the whole series.
It's an ending. Yeah. They just cut it off right there. Something that I kind of came to realize to help me kind of more with the ending, it's like Shepard essentially dies in every ending, except maybe kind of in the one where you see him like.
The one,
but I mean, could he really live after that?
No,
but it's option. Like the way I like to see it is that if Shepard plays through this whole series and survives, he's a hero, right? If he dies at the end of that, he's a legend. And I think that's what they were kind of going for.
Yeah. Well, and I liked the ending. I really do. I think it puts a book into it, and I think they alluded to the power that that race had over, like, sentient beings.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, even in the very end of the first game, the first conversation you have with, what's the race called?
The Reapers?
The Reapers,
yeah.
Yes. The first conversation he had with one of the Reapers wasn't it at the very end of the first game?
Yeah, it was like the bit in the first game was that you were chasing after another space cop who went rogue, and he had this ship that nobody knew what was going on, and it was bigger and faster than anything else they've ever seen. But at the end of it, you find out, well, it's kind of towards the end, and then you fight it at the end. But like his ship is actually one of this race of like sentient giant machines that come around every 110,000 years and just wipe the slate clean of organic life and just start it back over.
Start over.
And and you find that out, and it's like, oh, this is interesting.
And the way they have the Reapers talk about it in the first game is like they find themselves as the heroes.
Yeah, because they're just doing their job. Because civilization will get up to a point, it's nothing but wars and resources dwindling, so they just wipe the slate clean for the next generation, and they just think what they're doing is right, and
the people that live that would die don't find that to be right.
Yeah, but and then when they're done, it's like it doesn't matter, they're gone.
Yeah, and I honestly, if I could pick one of the 3 that had my favorite story points, would probably be 3, just because I didn't see it coming. Although, like I said, they allude to things in the first 2 games. I didn't pay attention to it like that. Like I didn't have like theories in my head back then when those first games came out. I was
gonna say 3 probably, but 2's close behind it because 2 is pretty banger.
2 is pretty good
because 2 is when they shifted from RPG shooter to like shooter RPG.
Yep.
And that was a big shift.
Yep.
And that was a very needed. Needed shift, because some people are into the more RPG than shooter, which after I played the second one, it's like playing the first one's a little rough.
The RPG elements of the first one take forever.
It's definitely more old school Western RPG with like the inventory management. What are your companions wearing? What are they shooting with? What are their abilities? You got to curate all of their perks. But in the second one, it was a lot more streamlined. Yeah. Probably to get, from a business sense, it was to get a lot more people into the series to make it more simple. But I think it worked out better in the end.
I don't know. I love those games.
Same.
But you've got 2 series now.
Story wise, I thought the story in, oddly enough, Far Cry 5 was incredible. Another one of those games that if you put that in a movie, it's like
It's not gonna hit the right
But
way.
there was something about like the Jacob sequence, the military guy where you get like brainwashed and stuff.
Yep.
That just hit so hard as a game because the game tricked you.
Yeah.
Because like for anybody who doesn't know, Far Cry 5, it's essentially every game is like you're fighting a person who's a little kooky. Yeah. And it's just a lot of runny, shooty, drugs. But like
drugs.
But like with the Jacob part, he was like they went for the full trope of like ex-military guy, all the weak should be gone, only the strong rule. But the game tricks you because whenever he captures you, he like hypnotizes you to basically do like a gun game trial run to get and by the second or third time you're doing it, you're like playing into it, like trying to beat your time.
Yeah.
And it's like you're falling for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
And by the ending of it, the third time, it's like you just killed like 40 people that you know. And the last guy is like the leader of a rebellion in there. And it's like, damn, I just fell for that. Yeah. And I enjoyed it.
I love it. Yeah, he got me.
Yeah, but that was pretty intense.
Far Cry 5 and 3 are the ones that I could replay and the ones that I really enjoy. 4, and I didn't really play much of 6.
6 was mid. I'm gonna be honest.
You got a wiener dog on a cart, man. Come on.
The whole outfitting thing in 6 kind of really ruined it for me. Because like you have every gun available to you at all times. And you have to change what you wear in accordance to what they're using on the fly, and it's just a lot. It's too much menus.
Yeah,
you know?
it
was a lot of start and stop, and it's like I'm having a hard time like keeping into this.
I hated 4.
I didn't play 4. I played most of 3, and I played 5, all of 5.
4. You went from 3, which is one of my favorite games ever.
Top tier.
It is so fucking good. The story is so good. The combat, the leveling system is so simple and so well done. And then you go to Far Cry 4, and they take the only things they take from Far Cry 3 are the good things, but they make them bad.
Oh.
And Far Cry also has this little aside. It has a cool thing that like in almost every entry, I think it's actually every entry since Far Cry 3 except Primal, you can end the game within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy.
That's hilarious.
Like the opening scene of 4, you sit down and you're looking away from the villain, and he says, "Just sit here, wait, I'll be back." And you sit, and you're prompted to get up and leave.
But you don't have to.
He
will come back.
If you sit there long enough, he'll come back. Game over. Credits roll.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. Same thing with 5, but 5 is a little different.
Yeah, 5 you roll up and you're like, you got a warrant out for this guy's arrest because they got evidence of like the guy's running like your typical.
It's kind of like Waco.
Yeah, it's very much Waco, but over a whole county.
Yes.
And like you roll up with the sheriff's department. You're a sheriff deputy. You roll with the sheriff, 2 other deputies, and like a U.S. Marshal. And he's going in guns blazing, and the sheriff is like, you don't understand what we're walking into here. Like it's a compound of people who will die for this man. And the marshal's like, it'll be fine. So you just like bust in. Oh my,
that was funny.
So you just bust in his church like mid sermon, and everybody's like looking at you like people are following you. It's getting a little close here, and like Marshall just busts in mid-sermon. He's like, I got a warrant out for your arrest. You're coming with us. And then, so he just walked, like not Jacob, Jingleheimer Schmidt. What the fuck's his name? I can't remember. It's something biblical. I don't know.
Something.
But he walks up and he's like, you won't take me. And then you get the prompt to cuff him. And if you wait long enough, you just like, nah. And you just walk out, and the marshal's like, what are you doing? Cuff this guy. And then the sheriff's like, nah, we out. And then the credits roll. Credits roll.
Dip. I love those little things. Those little cool little endings. It's cool that you can do shit like that.
Yeah. But, what series you got?
I'd say top tier story games. That's tough. I know.
Tough. It's like, because you try to think about story, and it's like, it's really hard to classify games on story. when most of them are just so
shooty bang bang,
self-contained.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh.
I'd say The Last of Us 1 really got me. And I hate to say that because, like, not only is the fan base of The Last of Us, like, the core fan base, they're fucking toxic.
Ew, yeah.
But also, there's so many memes of how bad it is. And I get where people are coming from saying that The Last of Us series is dumb. It is not good. But The Last of Us 1 really fucking got me.
At the time, in that, I mean, I still think it holds up a little bit, but it's like...
The story does.
It holds up, but then just, you know, certain things happen to fandoms, and they get a little muddy, and...
Yeah, sorry, Rick and Morty fans, you fucking suck. I don't know, man. Fucking fandoms can ruin shit.
D&D?
D&D.
I don't play D&D, but I do like to read like the books and stuff that come out.
I have played D&D, and it is fun if you get a group of people that don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not playing a tabletop RPG where I'm not seeing shit without it being funny.
Yeah.
Like, my thing with the one campaign that I did was that my character would always do this one move that I coined the full-on dick sprint.
Okay.
And when I did full-on dick sprint, I would do it every fucking time. If we walked in a room and there's a giant boss in front of us and we have to make decisions, everybody's like, well, we know what he's doing. And I would always get a buff on the roll.
You're just like stretching.
Yeah, I swear. Because the fucking, what's the game master?
Yeah.
He would always be like, you get a buff if you do that sprint. Because it's funny.
Yeah.
So I would always get the buff. See, it's fun when you do it with people that don't take it fucking serious.
I think I read, sometimes I go on like the Reddit boards of like horror stories of terrible games people have had, and it's like the problem is that there's always one guy that takes it way too seriously and doesn't match everybody else around him, and it just ruins the whole thing. Yeah. One character that I do want to play, technically it's two, but only one of them is funny. One that I do want to play, he's a halfling, so you know, the non-copyright hobbit.
Yeah.
There's a fighter subclass called the Rune Knight, where essentially you just like use giant magic, and you can grow bigger, and you just like do like rune magic like giants do or whatever. I thought it'd be hilarious if like there's a halfling like city guard, right? And like their guard captain is like a Goliath woman, and he's like such a simp for her. Like he just learns more and more about giant lore so much that he just becomes a Rune Knight. Like, that just sounds so stupid.
I'm in.
And so hilarious.
We've talked about doing a D&D campaign for Halloween on like a podcast type way.
A little one-off.
Yeah, like a nice, like, solid 3-hour campaign. Nothing, like, too crazy long.
Because you could do a lot in just a little one-shot.
Yeah. Like, you make one giant villain, and you get to the villain, and bada bing, bada boom, you take them down.
Old wizard stole the princess. Go get her back.
There's, like... I don't know. D&D is a cool concept at heart, but it is toxic in origin. It's very toxic.
Yeah, it's just you look on either side of the arguments that I've like seen. It's like, oh, D&D's going woke because this and this, and it's like D&D's racist because of this and this, and it's like in the book, it's like you can play however you want to play. Mm-hmm. It's like they come out with the official rules, but it's like that doesn't mean you have to play that way. I think
who's going to be fucking watching you to see if you play it the way they want?
I think people are just like, I think people just love to argue about shit, and like one side just loves to get mad about woke shit, and one side just loves to get mad about, you know, controversial shit. When in the end, it's like that only affects certain people. So as long as you're not doing it and saying that it's not okay to do that, then what's the real problem here?
And I mean, really, you could sum that up with, I mean, in the end, it doesn't even matter. And really, so you have a couple topics to bring up,
I
right?
do. We did start this with a goal in mind.
So the topics that we actually came to do...
Aside from an hour-long... Aside from... I don't even remember how that got started.
I gotta say, I would find that entertaining if I was watching it. But if you all don't, that's fine.
If you don't like it, you know, whatever.
Let me know. I don't know what you all like, what we do, when we do. I don't know. But what I do know is that the most listened to episode of SchmutzCast was the one with my boy here.
Huh?
So it's
still,
still.
guys.
Still, it has not been topped yet, and it's about the only episode that's like 2 weeks or further back that is still getting views.
Y'all are into some freak shit, huh?
So let's get into some freak shit.
Are we getting into freak shit?
Let's get into freak shit.
Oh.
What do you got? Last time you said if your boy calls, you say what time. So when I said I wanted to do one with just me and you said to research, and here we are. Beautiful.
Thank you.
What a look.
Thank you.
For this occasion.
Yes.
So you've done some research. What kind of research did you do?
I got a little bomb for you. The national parks, as we know them, were not made, in fact, to preserve the wildlife and the beautiful parts of our country that are still untouched. They were, in fact, created to corral and contain paranormal, paranatural entities that live in the wilderness. Let me explain.
I would love that.
So, a little bit of background about the National Parks Division. First, it was in the early 1800s. The Department of the Interior opened the Forestry Division, I think, and from that, Roosevelt opened the actual Parks Division of the Interior, and at that point it was like totally self-contained, like nobody goes in, this is only meant to preserve these parts of the forest. Flash forward a couple changes, departments change hands or whatever, but until like 1966 they were basically just opened to the public, right? Since then, of 1966, there have been over 1,200 missing persons cases that have gone unsolved, and those have been collected, compiled into a list of what are called the missing 411 cases. Which
is gonna be the title.
Oh,
because this is the 11th.
Oh,
it technically is the 11th episode, so it's gonna be the 411.
Clean.
They'll
never know.
So the missing.
Shit.
See, this is what I didn't know. Is that the missing 411 cases were the national park?
Well,
missings.
they're mostly the national parks. So what the missing 411 is, for people that don't know, it's a list of missing persons cases compiled by one Dave Politis, right? He was researching a missing persons case from the 1980s, or it was in the 1980s, I think. He kept pestering the national parks in his area where he was investigating it. He's like, where's the list of missing persons you guys got? Like, you guys have to have a list. There's like hundreds of people that go missing in the national parks every year. He's like, and he kept calling, and they were like, we don't have a list. We don't have a list. And finally, one call, it's like, look, even if you wanted the list, you couldn't get it. And he was like, so there is a list, and they hung up on him. So from that point, he has been compiling all these cases together that just have oddities about them. They're called the missing 411 because 411 is like shorthand for information, right? Yeah. So the missing 411 simply means that there's just missing information in these cases that just doesn't add up to things.
Yep.
So somebody goes missing in a national park or highway, open expanse, whatever. Somebody goes missing, they find them, they chalk it up to like a bear attack or whatever, some kind of animal attack. But the thing about animal attacks is that they leave evidence, markings, blood trails, pieces of the person.
Yeah, a bear's not just gonna punch a person.
No,
they got claws, they got teeth.
Bears do not do a clean job.
No, and they're not, like, bears on average aren't gonna attack somebody.
No, they're scared shitless of people.
Yeah, they don't want to be near people.
If you make enough noise walking through the woods, they're probably just gonna bounce because they don't want to mess with you. So, the missing 411, again, is just like missing persons cases that has some missing information that are unsolved.
A heavy portion of the case.
It makes you think, what happened, right? Mm-hmm. So, going through my notes here, excuse me. I have 3 cases that they're quick to the point. but they're oddly chilling because of the missing information there is. Okay, first one. Dennis Martin. This is 1969 Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Tennessee. Dennis Martin was 6 years old, right? He was playing hide and seek with a bunch of other kids in the campgrounds, whatever. His dad had eyes on him the whole time they were playing. He started chatting up another dad saying, hey, our kids should play together, whatever. So they're playing hide and seek. Dennis goes and runs behind a tree, right? Dad has eyes on him the whole time. The game ends because it couldn't find Dennis. And he's like, all right, Dennis, come on out. Doesn't answer. Doesn't move.
But he never
left his eyes.
broke the eye. Never broke the line of sight with the tree.
It was like there's no way he could have moved without his dad seeing him.
Yeah.
He calls him again, like, Dennis, all right, game's over. They go behind the tree. Nope, nothing's there.
And for everybody, trees in Tennessee aren't wide in trunk like.
We're not talking about like red oaks. We're talking about like your general average like backyard tree.
Out in like Seattle and like the Pacific Northwest,
Ohio,
there's big ass trees.
Ohio Valley does not have the biggest of trees.
It has tall trees, not very wide.
There's no possible way a 6-year-old could run so fast and so far so quick that they have no trace of them, right?
It would be impossible for him to run the perfect line that the tree had the line of sight for his dad.
And even if he did book ass and run, after a search party came in, there is no way they would not have found him after a certain amount of hours, whatever. Yeah. So obviously a search party starts, right? But the weird shit happens when the Green Berets show up.
Green Beret in Tennessee?
Green Berets are a special ops military unit that are meant for literally going into foreign countries that we are at war with, knowing the language of the people there, training militia, going in guns blazing. Oddly enough, like Predator.
So, oddly enough.
So the fact that Green Berets just show up and they say they're working with the national parks to find this kid for whatever reason, but when you look at the documents of the reports of everything, they were there not to find Dennis Martin. They were there for a different reason entirely. The idea is that they were not there to find Dennis, but they were there to find whatever the fuck took Dennis. So, that's oddly sketch.
So, the Green Berets don't usually investigate missing person cases.
They are not search and rescue. They are seek and destroy.
Yes, they are not meant to be like save people. They are meant to destroy the enemy of our people.
Yeah.
So they have much higher priorities than finding a 6-year-old kid.
Why were they there?
And
next up.
That's tough.
Jim McGrogan. This was in 2014 Colorado.
Recent.
Yeah. I don't have the exact park. It may not have been a park, just a marked off trail, right? So Jim McGrogan was a very athletic, very avid hiker with a group of his friends. They're taking up a mountain trail. Rest of the group says they want to stop at a rest point. Jim says, I want to keep going. I don't want to, I got a bunch of steam. I don't want to stop. I'll meet you at the next rest stop. They wait, they rest an hour or two, they move up, he's not at the next rest stop. They keep going to the peak, and they don't find him. The whole time, this is like waist-deep snow, Colorado. If you've ever seen pictures of the snow in Colorado, it's like car height of how much it can snow. So they're hiking up this mountain, waist-deep snow, no tracks anywhere off the trail. They get up to the peak, they don't find him. Jim had every tool with him to get help. He had a cell phone, he had a walkie-talkie, he had GPS, anything an experienced hiker would have. Anything, for whatever reason, if he needed help, he should have been able to get help. But nothing. They do a search party. They don't find anything. 5 days into the search, they get another heavy snowfall. They got to call it off for like a couple days, right? He's found 20 days later, 7 kilometers off the trail, in a spot they already searched. They found him missing the majority of his gear and his clothes, and they said he seemingly died of falling from a great height. They said he had some kind of crazy trauma to his head, and they just chalked it up to him falling. But it's in a spot they already searched almost a month later. What could have done that?
That's weird, bro. That's weird.
Spooky. Last one, Christopher Tompkins, 2002. He in Georgia. He was part of a survey crew, marking trails, what have you. He was the last. He was in the crew. He was the last guy in the line, right? I think there was 4 or 5 of them, including him. They had a thing where they check front, check back every couple minutes or whatever, just to make sure everybody's there. Mm-hmm. Well, guy in front of Chris looks back after a couple minutes. Chris isn't there, just gone. All they see is some fucking pocket change in the middle of the road. Nothing.
Wait, where are they?
They're on some kind of unmarked trail in the middle of Georgia. Just I guess I'm assuming marking what will be a road or a path or something like that. Just whatever survey crews do. I don't survey. So
I don't survey.
So they check front, check back. They check back. Chris ain't there. They just find some fucking pocket change. His boot is on the side of the trail. They find his other boot a couple miles away. And it's it's as if something walked by, silently picked him up by the feet, because all his change fell out of his pocket, and just walked off silently. No word, no sound, no nothing. Just picked him up, walked off. Never found him. All they found was his boots.
So never found even a body.
No. All of these, they never find the body. Or when they do find the body, it's in a very strange.
Yeah.
There's so many of them that I see, they find the body, but it's tucked in between a rock and some dirt, and it's why he couldn't put himself in there if he wanted to. And something else about the missing 411 is whenever they do find people, they never talk about what they saw. They're closed off to the world. They either don't remember anything or they will not talk about it no matter what. What's really weird is that whenever they find kids that go missing, I know about this one, but I didn't find the exact stats on it. But there's this kid goes missing from a campground. They find him 20, 30 miles away through swampland.
What the fuck?
And remember Survivor Man on Discovery Channel? He found out about the case. He made that trek in the amount of time from when he went missing to where they found him. He said, I cannot do that. And some 8-year-old kid supposedly moved that space in that amount of time. I think it was 8 or 10 hours or something like that. He said he could not hike it in that amount of time. It was impossible. They find the kid in the middle of a bog lake thing, up a tree, completely dry. Up a tree, and they're like, why did you run? He's like, I was afraid of the cows. There wasn't any fucking cows. And that's all they got out of him. He will not talk about anything else.
So they found him alive?
They found him alive, will not talk about it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So the people they don't find, where do they go?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, caves.
Caves.
Almost all of the missing persons cases line up perfectly with natural cave systems in wherever. If you overlay a map of the cave system in the U.S. and missing persons, almost all of them just match completely.
They map to the
it's almost one.
It's
systems. Almost 1-to-1 with the natural cave system. So the idea is that searching for these people for weeks with helicopters, dogs, anything bump lines, making sure nothing is on the ground they don't see. A lot of people think they just wind up in a cave somewhere, never to be found again. The thing about caves is that most caves is it's not just a hole in the ground. I don't know if you've ever been spelunking. You like to do scary dumb shit, but
I want to go spelunking.
I don't.
I want to go spelunking so
If you ever seen, you gotta wiggle, you gotta shove yourself. You don't just
really tight spaces.
You don't just happen to fall in a cave. You gotta get put in there.
You gotta work to get there.
So now we have an idea where they might be going. What's taking them there?
That's the theory. That's the most fun part of this.
What's taking them there, Papa?
It's so fun to think of things like this, and it's morbid, I know, because there's people that are dying, and when we're making stories out of it. I totally get the other side, but the human brain is meant to make stories. Yep. We are built for that. The thing humans love the most is stories.
We are pattern-seeking people.
we love stories and we love to explain things that are unexplained. That is just in our nature. And I love the idea that I don't love the idea as in, I just think there is an interesting thought.
The idea is that there's some spooky shit going on and it's being hidden from the general populace is the interesting point.
Yes, because we know now, it's confirmed, declassified, that the government has been hiding unidentified flying objects and their contact with those things. They've been hiding that for years. And it makes you think, like, they have now proven to us that they were able to hide that from us for a long time.
So if they could hide that, what the fuck else are they hiding?
What can they, like, they can hide anything. I mean, really? I mean, because in even all branches of government, all military, police, government workers, all they have to do is get an order from the top to say, hey, just don't talk about this case.
That or they just discredit anybody who talks about it, and generally it works.
Yeah.
They'll dig up something about it that's a little not okay, and suddenly everything they say is just worthless.
Well, I mean, the national park guys, obviously, they probably don't know about whatever the fuck would be taking these people. Yeah. But if they get orders from the top, they're government workers. If they get orders from the government to say nothing about that case, that's their job.
They ain't gonna do it.
That's their job. I mean, if that's my job, I'm gonna do the same fucking thing.
Speaking of people being storytellers by nature, that comes from a long line of just our culture over the millennia. Like, we've been telling stories since we drew on caves.
Yeah.
Speaking of being people that drew on caves, a lot of the fears we have as people, or at least general anxieties, a lot of those are evolutionary, right? So, a lot of, the dark, the unknown, we've been scared of that since the dawn, right? Fucking being alone, not okay for survival. Being surrounded is not okay for survival. Being in an unfamiliar territory. Loud, sudden noises is literally everybody's fear. It's our jerk reaction to be scared of that. Yeah. It's like, no matter, you could be Billy Badass and that shit'll still
that's still gonna get you. That's gonna get you.
That's evolutionary. Helplessness, the claustrophobia. Those are all fears that people have, if not an anxiety about it. That's all evolutionary because we evolved to be afraid of certain scenarios. Another one that is a really strange thing that affects a lot of people but nobody talks about is the uncanny valley, which is a weird subsection of psychology, kind of visual thing. It's imagine like a chart, right? It's the y-axis is our comfort, familiarity, right? The x-axis is similar or how close it is to being a human, right? It kind of does one of these numbers. It goes up, 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 and then it just shoots down, and then it comes back up, right? So say at your baseline is like an Amazon Alexa, right? It's clearly not a person, and we're neutral towards it, right? You go up a little bit, getting closer to human, and we're more familiar with it, like a Pixar animated movie. It looks like a person, but we know it's not a person. That dip down is where a lot of people start getting a lot of nervous. Like you see those, like that Sophia AI, like the walking, talking robot with the face.
Oh, yeah.
That makes a lot of people uncomfortable, like across the board, and they just can't explain why. Like, a lot of people, oddly enough, get uncomfortable when they watch like the Polar Express.
That no lie. That
just something about the way they're animated rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
It's a little uncomfortable
because it's like they're going for realistic people, but they're not. They're like you like how people relax and sit like that meme of that one girl where she's like.
Yeah.
It's like it's like they look like people but they move unnaturally.
Yeah.
And like a lot of old claymation movies where it's like they ramp up the FPS and they're moving like way too fast. Yeah. That makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and then it shoots back up to like human, right? We know it's a human, it walks, talks, acts like a human. That dip there is the weird point because why are so many people afraid of such a very niche thing that we rarely see day to day?
Yeah.
A lot of people think that's evolutionary. There was something way back in time that walked, talked, acted like a person, but it wasn't a person, or trying to emulate a person. But what the fuck would do that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'm only going to say them once because it's bad juju to talk about them. Wendigos, skinwalkers, flesh gates, feral people. One of those 4 things. All right. The W word is a Native American folktale thing. There's a few different iterations of it. A lot of people think it's some kind of psychosis that somebody gets from performing cannibalism, right? It's like that bit of like you get a taste of people and like you're hungry for people. Another way is that it's a demonic entity that possesses you and like turns you into this thing, you know.
So it changes a person.
Yeah, it's a person that I think the old legend with it generally is that it's like you're in the dead of winter, you got nothing else to eat, you're going to die, so you eat your buddy that died like 2 days ago. You become in the tales, you become this thing of like gaunt skin, no toes, no lips, no eyelids, no hair. You become bigger the more you eat, so you're constantly starving. You can move quietly and super fast through the forest, and just all you do is you eat people. That's all you do forever until you die, which is really hard to kill one of those. The other one, the flesh pedestrians. Those are also that's kind of like similar, not similar. People mix them up all the time. Like you ever hear like the Wendigoon thing?
Yeah.
He's got that picture behind him where it's like the skeleton with the horns.
Yeah.
That's more close to what the skinwalkers are. It's like bad medicine performers in Native American folktale. They can take the pelts of animals and turn into that animal. They have this ability to get in your head and mess with your memories to lure one of you out. So say if you and 4 buddies go out to the woods, hunting trip, you're all around the fire. Now there's 5 of you, but like it
doesn't feel weird.
It doesn't feel weird. There's just suddenly a 5th guy, and that's totally fine. You're just like, yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal. And then one gets away. They can emulate human speech. It'll sound like a person, but it will never sound truly like a person.
I heard a weird story one time of like an Alaskan hunting trip one time. It was just like that. They were at camp and they were eating food and they had 4 plates, but 5 guys. They brought like porcelain dishes and they went and cooked the meat that they brought with them. They hadn't hunted yet. And they were like, okay, why do we only have 4? We have 5 people. Yep. Why did we only bring 4? And they just chalked it up as that. And when they left, they felt weird because then they all realized at the same time that there was not a 5th person.
All that you can do in a situation like that is somehow trick it to make it think you don't know what's going on and then just walk out of the woods. Because with those 2 things, they generally, within the lore, they only stick to uninhabited wilderness areas. That seems like a pretty good reason to section off parts of the wilderness, keep people out of them, if you're going to corral them all into one spot.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever heard those not a deer stories? Like guys driving down the country road, middle of the night, middle of nowhere, there's a deer in the middle of the road, right? Deer typically, for people in urban environments, never see a whitetail in the middle of the door or middle of the road. Like,
we see that quite
typically
often.
They'll snap to you and then dart, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, like this one story that I read, guy peeling down the road, sees a deer up ahead. He's like, "Oh, it's gonna bounce." Doesn't move, stationary. He slams on his brakes and it like turns to look at him. Deer, being an herbivorous creature, they got eyes on the sides of their heads, right? So they look. He said this deer had eyes front of its head. And it just turned, looked at him, turned back, and then walked off the road. What the fuck was that? Another story, couple driving down the road, they see a coyote running, like, oh, it's funny. They look back and the coyote's matching speed with the highway car on its back 2 feet, staring at them, and then it peels off direction. No. No. I'm out. I'm out.
Bro. They're like, all of those urban legends, just there's some of them that like are such interesting stories. Like the Mothman.
Oh,
is an interesting one
for sure. Mothman.
Mothman's such a cool story. The Chupacabra. I think the Chupacabra exists, but not in a way of like it's the Chupacabra.
Yeah,
there are Chupacabra.
I think it's because like we're discovering animals all the time.
Yes.
I think it's just. I think a lot of cryptids are just like animals that we haven't found yet.
Yeah, and like I mean, who's to say there's not a small subsection of a coyote type species that is just really rabid?
Yeah, who knows?
Like a Chupacabra.
Like I didn't fully research the story, but the Palmyra wolves is a big staple in that kind of thing. It's
in that area.
Yeah, it's like this couple moves into this new house. They see coyotes running around. The guy ganks one of them, and all of a sudden, every night they're hearing like patters on the roof of coyote. They catch them running around the house like in circles for hours and just sitting outside the windows, and then they just disappear. What the fuck?
Sheesh.
What the fuck?
Bro, there is so much that we don't know about, like, all life. Like, how we understand how wolves communicate,
Yep.
but we don't understand how their brain works, how they process that information.
There's a saying that it's like, even if a lion could speak English, you wouldn't understand what it's saying.
Yeah.
Because, like, we'll never truly understand the way they live and think.
Yes.
Because it's just, it's different entirely.
Yeah. Well, I did want to throw one point in about the W word because I know some things about that. It's Wendigoon without the O and the N at the end.
Yeah.
The folklore says you don't say the word. That's it's bad juju.
You're not
bad.
you're not supposed to say it a bunch of times.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You're not supposed to do it.
See, you already said it once.
Well, exactly.
Careful.
So that's the thing is like, I don't believe that exists, but if it does, why wouldn't I try to protect myself from it? So, now that you know that, when we say stories like that, it makes me think about this. There is a disease that is only in human species.
Yep.
The humans, and even there's tales of it long ago, and there still happens now. Jeffrey Dahmer is one that will bring it up.
Yep.
There's a disease that you get from eating another human called kuru. It's a Japanese word. It's a Japanese coined disease. Kuru is a disease that it's like flesh eating, kind of, but you don't die from kuru right away. So the way kuru works is you consume this flesh, and immediately your brain chemistry changes. And that's scientifically proven. That is not like folklore shit. That is proven fact. Your brain chemistry changes. There is a side effect from kuru that you have an uncontrollable laughter. That you are laughing nonstop. Like, if anybody's seen the Joker movie, obviously he doesn't have kuru, but, like, it kind of makes you think, like, he's laughing in situations he does not want to laugh in.
Yeah.
Think of that all the time.
Yeah.
That does exist. If you eat another human's flesh, there's people that believe you're consuming part of their soul, and it's fucking with your soul.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of different, like, folklores around it. But the scientific facts are that kuru does exist. It is a disease that will eventually kill you. Your organs will shut down, and they don't know why.
Yeah.
Because even if you cook the flesh, you cook human meat, you're consuming it just like you would consume a cow.
Yeah.
But there's something different about it. Yeah. That eventually your organs shut down and they don't understand why.
Well, it's like with mad cow disease from way years back. Do you remember about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's like they essentially, like, it was when the meat industry was like at its worst, like before most of the reforms happened. They essentially were like taking dead cows that they had no use of anymore, grinding them up and feeding them to other cows, and that just made them go fucking mental. Yeah. They got sick and died. They were aggressive. They were essentially rabid, and they, like, all these cows were like keeling over and dying, and the meat was all bad. And they couldn't find out why, but it was something about eating another cow that just, like, sent them off the deep end.
There's something weird there, man. And when you talk about Wendigos.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that kind of lines up with like Kuru.
Yeah,
It's
and there's real cases in history of like people falling into this psychosis, like the whole werewolf syndrome, where people think they're a werewolf and their body will change. It's slight, but they will be in such a mind space that they think they're a werewolf, and they will like go off the deep end and like go nuts.
Yeah,
it's could be in the same vein of that.
Yeah.
Like, just...
Well, it's crazy to think about what your brain can fucking do.
Yeah.
Your brain could go from today being like, it's a great fucking day, I'm alive,
Yeah.
I got a job, I got a wife, I got kids, all that. And then in an instant, it could change to your primal state.
Yeah.
In an instant.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what sparks those kind of things.
I think there's just so many mysteries left with the human body that we have not discovered or may not discover.
I don't think we ever will.
Like, just the power of a human can achieve from getting full, unfiltered, real danger adrenaline is scary to me. Like the one of the 100-pound mom lifting a
car. Yes.
What?
Yeah. Like,
I mean, sure, her body was severely fucked up after that. Like, half of her muscles were torn.
But she did it.
She did it. She full ass lifted a sedan. Like,
I could not do that if I fucking tried. Me and you combined could not flip a fucking sedan.
No.
And this 100-pound mother saving her child was able to flip a sedan.
There's just something.
There's multiple stories of that.
Yeah, there's just something about the human body that we'll probably never know. There's just a lot of mysteries there. And
like, there's so much variety in humans in comparison to other species. Like, I mean, recently I've done more research on like tigers and lions and shit because I've just been into nature documentaries. Sure. But like, the variation between big cats or like animals of that like range is like their looks, I'm sure there could be things going on in their brain, but they still stick to the same primal patterns. Yeah. Humans go in so many different ways. Yeah. Like, we've got a world where you don't have to be male or female. You can be whatever the fuck you want. Yep. You can go with this life path, this life path, this life path. And our evolutionary path is not stuck like every other species. Yep. Every other species eat, fuck, produce. Yep. Eat, fuck, produce, and then die. Yep. We don't do that. Yeah. There's just something... there's so much different. We hit the evolutionary lotto is what happened. Mm-hmm. And like there are people out there, like certain clans and tribes of people that do practice cannibalism. Yeah. And they're totally fine. Mm-hmm. But there's just something about when we hit the modern stage of like, things are taboo, we don't do those things anymore, and we're just not like, who knows what the fuck we were doing way back in caveman days? Like, who knows? And we just like, it's just something about a tolerance that got burned out. And like if, aside from the spooky paranormal shit, there is almost definitely clans of feral people that just live in the woods. Yeah, for sure. There's been documented cases of finding people that just left society and just lived out in the woods. Mm-hmm. Like, we do that now. Yeah. Just like they do it a little harder. Like the Liver King guy, he's entirely like he's on his own range, like does his own shit, and like he's a meme now. Yeah. But like still, like there are people that want to disconnect entirely. Yeah. Like what's that one guy? There was a guy that it was the Unabomber. I think it was the Unabomber, wasn't it? The Unabomber was the guy that was the mathematician, and he went and he said he was disconnecting from society and came back and just started fucking threatening to kill people and like yeah, that was him. That's right. Like, what the fuck? Like, we don't understand. There's so much we don't understand about humans, about the world, like the ocean's untouched. How many fucking caves have never been touched by humans? Yeah. So fucking many. Yeah. Miles and miles and miles of caves that we've never seen. Yeah. Things that don't have entrances to. Yeah. So who's to say there's not an ecosystem down there for life that doesn't need what we need? Yeah. I think I know where this is going. I mean, the further down you go into a cave... Where are you going to end up There's only so much earth. To state early, we don't believe in the fucking hollow earth. No. But it's a cool story.
But
what's fun about it is there's certain shit you can do with it, like the newest King Kong movie.
Mm-hmm.
The King Kong Godzilla thingy.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot they snuck a little Hollow Earth thing.
They're like, oh, the Hollow Earth exists. Let's just fucking take King Kong back there.
Yeah, sure.
The way, first of all, the cinematography in the ending, like having like up and down, like a whole different gravitational system, like that's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
So you had brought this up to me.
Yep.
Admiral Richard Byrd.
Yep.
Do you know anything about this, or is this just a hot point that you have heard?
I could be misquoting, but what I understand is that he was a highly ranked naval officer post World War II, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once we started finding out about all the freak shit Hitler was doing, because he was like big into the occult, trying to find out different ways to win the war or whatever. I guess somehow we found out they made a lot of expeditions to like way bumfuck nowhere, like Antarctica, Nepal, all kinds of shit. Well, they sent him solo mission to Antarctica. They say tell us what you find, and just go whatever. He comes back. They give him the Medal of Honor and tell him to shut the fuck up. Don't talk about anything you found, and that was it.
So he went entirely alone, one single human being, no crew.
From what I understand, it was just him. He made an expedition into Antarctica. He must have found something, because we don't know what he found. Like, I don't believe they even said like, oh, if you didn't find anything. Like they probably said that, but like they just a lot of people think that he found what Hitler was looking for, which is Agartha, which is the entrance to Hollow Earth. So I think they were expecting some kind of untapped resource on the inside of the Earth that would just tip the scale in the world power.
Yep.
And whether they found it or not, they don't want anybody else to know.
They don't want anybody else to have it.
Yeah. You ever seen Antarctica on the map? There's on certain maps it's split up that every big nation or world power has a slice of Antarctica.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Look up Antarctica slices. I want to make sure I'm not wrong here and or Antarctica like pie map or something. Yep. There it is.
This one?
Either the left or the right, yeah.
Let's do this one.
It's like they're all split up. Different countries owns a little bit of Antarctica.
Why would you want it?
Why? Exactly. Why would you want a slab of ice?
It just seems unusual.
Yep.
Entirely. There's no claim to this area.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Are there people at Antarctica? Like, are there people stationed there?
I can't imagine why. I mean, there's nothing there. Or is there?
Are there people in Antarctica? Let's see. Only continent with no permanent human habitation.
Oh.
There are, however, permanent human settlements where scientists and support staff live for part of the year on a rotating basis. Oh, so whatever's there, we found that shit. We found that shit hard.
Or we're trying to figure it out.
So there comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance, and one must accept the inevitability of the truth. I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing. Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny, but I must do duty and record, he said duty, and record here for all to read one day. In a world of greed and exploitation of mankind can no longer suppress that which is truth.
Yup.
That's eerie.
Wait, hold on a second.
Statement.
I just had a big revelation. I've heard this is the guy. He did come out and say what happened. He said he was flying his plane above Antarctica and suddenly he just like fell into a weird slipstream, right? All his instruments were going nuts. Like he could not find land. He was going through clouds or something, and then he just like broke the clouds and it was like an expanse of like not Antarctica. Like he landed and he was like, where the fuck am I? And these fucking 10-foot tall people came out, like their skin was like fucking white as marble. And like they were like, "Hey, bud, like, what are you doing here?
How you doing, fella? You're kind of short.
What are you doing here?" And like he said, the way they walked, they said they would take a step and then appear like 20 feet away, and they had these like their architecture didn't make any sense, and like obviously they probably just said like, "Nah, he's crazy, nah." But I mean, who at that point in time, who would come up with that just knowing he was going to get discredited and told that he was wrong?
And he even says that it would get public scrutiny, but I must do duty and record here.
I cannot believe I forgot that's who it was. But yeah, I heard that story in passing one day, and that's what it was.
I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of the United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on behalf of humanity. Incredible. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders.
Dude. Yeah, that's the map he drew. That's right.
Agartha.
Yep, that's the map he drew. He said there is a second sun on the inside of the Earth, and that was what we understood as the core. And that is
Jesus.
That is the actual center of our gravity.
So this is the basis of the Hollow Earth theory.
Yep, I think this is where the shit hit the fan. It's like there's something about a crust and like another solid crust on the inside of the Hollow Earth, and you can only get in and out through the poles. That's why the magnetism at the poles is so weird. It's like how the magnetism is just sucked in through the top or bottom. It's because it's going towards that core, the second sun or whatever.
What the fuck?
People that go expedition on Everest, right? They have to follow a Sherpa or they will get lost and they will never be found. But at any certain point, like there's accounts of people that do it all the time that go on these hikes. There are certain taped off areas that say no entry at all. And if somebody like I read this one guy was being a little cheeky, he started going towards the tape and the Sherpa loses his fucking mind and like starts like basically swinging an axe at the guy, telling him to back the fuck off the tape. So it's like, what is behind that tape that like they do not, I mean, clearly it could just be a drop off to sheer death, but like, what if that's something that we're not supposed to find outside, you know?
So in theory with this guy, so he takes off somewhere outside of the...
Yeah, so probably somewhere, if we're, North America is in
Kentucky Mammoth Cave. So in this thought, the Kentucky Mammoth Cave goes all the way to the Hollow Earth.
Yep.
Okay, so he takes flight from here and swings in.
Yeah, I think
here.
Somehow he broke into the I think he just accidentally found the door or found a way to get in and out, and just by sheer coincidence that he came in and out, he just accidentally fell into the earth, essentially.
So did he just reverse his path and go back?
Or
did he land?
I think he did land because he talked about seeing and meeting the people.
So you've got he's got marked out cities.
They told him everything, essentially, because they never met him before. They never. I think they.
So, but if there were people in this Hollow Earth, how would they know where he came from? Like,
well, I'm assuming because they're the idea is that typically anyone that lives on the Hollow Earth is like just an advanced race for whatever reason.
So they would know about us.
Yeah, but we don't know about them.
We don't know about them.
Yeah.
So why would they not visit us? Or maybe they. I
mean, would you?
I don't know. Yeah, it seems pretty cool in there.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty tight.
I mean, if there was like Earth or like land above me and I'm just looking up and that's the sky, that would be kind of neat. I can't lie. Yeah, well, that'd be kind of cool.
Well, that's the thing. It's like from the way he described it, it's like our land and their land is the same, but their up is, well, no. Yeah, they're up as our down, but they're looking up at a sky. But to us, if we were there, it just feels the same. It's not like everybody's upside down.
So it's not like in the fucking King Kong movie where you look up.
I'm sure that was a little dramatized. But like if you look at the ocean forever and you start to see the curvature. I mean, it's not that ridiculous, but I'm assuming that like the Earth's a pretty big friggin' thing. Like if you're standing over there in Shambhala and you look up, you may be able to see the other side, but it's probably going to be so far away. It's like nothing but mirage and horizon. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like thinking about it's like looking at a halo. Like a ring.
Like the halo ring.
Like you just see it go. I'm assuming it's something
that
like
would be
that.
Pretty cool.
Do you see that they saw a circular object in space?
Really?
Yep.
Like a halo?
Like a halo.
Oh God! The fucking elites are gonna show up.
Not the elites.
Oh no, the Covenant! No.
I liked it when they were the good guys for like one game.
For like one game.
That took a lot of headaches out. I just want to go pop some grunts and get that birthday thing.
Why is it when the flood shows up, it is like it's on now?
Because that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, the flood is terrifying.
And that shit's real too. Like there's mushrooms out there that will. You know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of that like they
like the thing from The Last of Us. It's not totally out. It's not totally fiction because like there's these insects that will get infected by this fungus, and the fungus will
control
them and move their
Ratatouille
body
style.
Like what the hell? And no one's freaked out about this.
Yeah, it's weird as fuck.
Oh.
I find it fascinating. I would like to know what is going through his head. Like, is he making this up? There's that thought. He's entirely making it up.
Yep.
There's another thought that he saw some weird shit and just, like, he out of just human reaction had to make an explanation for it. Because you can't go back to the president and be like, I saw some weird shit. So then he draws this fucking expanse out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
It's definitely got some questions in there, but like at the Rainbow City.
Oh shit! Well, is Mario there?
Oh my god!
It's Rainbow Road.
It all makes sense. Which will Mario is Hollow Earth.
That's where the tubes come from. Oh no!
Can we talk about the trailer real quick?
Yes.
I'm mostly excited, but you know what I'm the least excited for? Chris Pratt as Mario aside, I'm not excited for Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is probably going to be...
Hey, Mario, weed!
That fucking... The best part of that is Jack Black as Bowser.
Jack Black as fucking Bowser is bringing it, dude.
That's going to be a saving grace.
Dude, that part where he was like, ha, I do not. And then just blast fire, dude.
That is
erect,
perfect, and then you see Chris Pratt, and then boom.
What is this place?
He didn't even try an Italian accent. Didn't even like all the memes even thought like, oh, Chris Pratt's Italian accent's gonna be funny. He didn't even do one.
I fell for a really bad joke the other day. It was like leaked Chris Pratt voice. Stroking my dick. I'm
stroking my dick. I put lotion on my dick. I love those videos. There's one that's like the fucking lost video of Abraham Lincoln's voice.
Oh my god!
It got me. I was like,
every time I now see that. Like they reconstructed a mummy's voice or a lost tape, it's either gonna be the snore or I'm stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick.
Yeah, it's every time.
I want that kind of sleep.
I swear to God.
Oh.
I'll tell you who does get that kind of sleep is Megan's dad.
Oh, no, not Andy.
Oh, my God. That man snores so fucking loud.
Hell yeah.
Like, shake the foundation of the house loud.
That man's earned it.
He puts out some decibels. That's no lie. What was some of the other shit that we pulled up here? Let's look before
let's take
we
a gander.
it.
This will be a learning experience for everybody.
What's one of these that really hits the fancy?
Well, there's always the stairs in the woods. That's a lot of mystery.
Yeah. Let's hop on that. Let's hop on that. It's interesting.
Yo.
I don't know a ton about it, but I know I've heard a bunch of stories, and it kind of lined up with the national parks thing, because it's like there's some people that have went into these national parks and randomly just saw stairs, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. Where do those stairs go?
Yeah.
And then they'll go back, and those stairs aren't there anymore.
Yeah, they'll just walk upon like either stairs like that where they were clearly built a long time ago, or it's like very modern stairs,
modern ass stairs
with like the perfectly correct pitch and everything. Like, and they just go to nowhere. Like, it'll just end up in a wall or like just a drop to nothing. And it's like people go missing nearby those all the time with no reason. And it's like, why are they there? Who put them there? It's like with the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was that?
What is that? Like, we have nothing to explain that?
For people that don't know what the Georgia Guidestones is, this is some weird ass shit, right? So it was back in the 60s or the 70s. All of a sudden, in the middle of Georgia, they recently took those down.
Why?
They just wrecked them.
That's bad juju.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Bad juju.
Permanently closed. All right, they knocked the motherfucker down.
Oh wow.
Okay, so if you can see the Guidestones right now, what they used to be in several languages all over the stones, there is what many call the rule set for a new world order, right? It's saying like keep the population below. I think it's like 7 million. Or something.
Good God!
It's like somebody like to achieve that it would involve like getting rid of over 90% of people.
Mass genocide.
It's like 7 million people. Disregard petty laws. Strictly control like reproduction, and like there's get rid of smaller local governments. Only one government that presides over all, and all needs will be met for the people. And it's like they had to clean the stones dozens of times because people kept writing like fuck the Illuminati, fuck the New World Order, like all kinds of shit. And eventually they just like demolished them because like it was just too much.
That's bad juju.
Yeah, but
I don't like that.
But the craziest thing about that is like just some private party paid to have those there. Just it was like 6 or 7 people had their names paid for it, just like totally made up names like John Smith, like Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, like but no one knows why they're there. Yeah. 500 million.
500 million.
Yeah,
that's still like a quarter. A quarter of the current population.
Less than that. Shit.
God,
we're talking about 7 billion to 500 million. Hold on, I'm gonna do the math real quick.
Holy shit!
Maintain humanity under. This is for the audio only listeners. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith through and all things with tempered reason, and then protect people and nations, and it goes on and on for like. Another
protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts.
And then after that, it talks about like disregarding petty laws, and that's essentially the gist of it. But it's like,
where did this come from?
They don't know. A private party just paid to have them there in the middle of nowhere in Georgia, and a lot of the languages in there are like dead languages, like Latin, Inuit, like. Dead languages that people don't speak anymore, and they had them carved in those languages for all people to read. It's like the reverse of like the Tower of Babel.
And nobody knows who did it?
No. Like they tried tracing it back, and it's like ghost.
Wow. Yeah, that's... I always remembered the Georgia Guidestones. I always thought that was wild. That shit's weird, man.
So 7 billion people down to 500 million is it's getting rid of 6,999,000,000 people.
That's a lot of folks.
That's a lot of folks.
I don't think I'd make the cut.
Biting the dust. You know what like gets me the most about people whenever they start talking about population control? It's like we need to keep it down. We don't got enough resources. It's like, you think you're gonna make the cut, buddy? You think you're in the 1%?
Yeah, like it's always there's always those guys that are like wanting that shit, and they just don't. Like, what's the qualifications? Who makes it?
They don't think about the repercussions of that. You're thinking like, okay, so this is like there's this anime Dr. Stone. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen like trailers and shit for it.
I'd watch it. It's incredible, but it sounds dope. It's dumb, but it's essentially Minecraft the anime. Because it's this dude, and like it's in like modern day Japan. All of a sudden, this huge green flash washes over the whole world, and everybody just turns to stone, right? And this guy is like so fucking smart. He's like still awake. He counts the seconds until he wakes up, and it's been like 3,000 years, and the world has like totally regrown. And he's like, all right, I guess gotta rebuild civilization, I guess. And he figures out how to like de-petrify people, and everything in the show is 100% science based. Like the shit that he does, like we gotta grab this and this and do this and this with it. It's all scientifically accurate. They had a group of people writing the script with them, and before and after every show, they're like, don't reproduce these things because this is real shit. Like there was a whole bit on how like to find natural chlorine gas and all the stuff you can do with it, and it's like. And it showed people getting killed by chlorine gas, like how fast it happens. It's like they're walking up this hill and there's people chasing them. They climb up this tree and like they throw something in the lake and a bubble pops and this wave of chlorine gas just swipes by and they all just drop dead. And it's like, I think you need to watch this. It has the 1-to-1 how to make a fucking cell phone, like with caveman technology. It is fucking wild. It is so cool.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah.
I thought Dr. Stone was some kind of weed anime because there's like stoner like t-shirts.
We gotta rebuild
and shit.
Civilization. Get the weed.
Get the weed, Morty. I fucking love some weird ass animes like that. I think that's gonna be my next one to watch. That sounds really fucking cool.
I used to be like many of the men our generation. I got started with the Dragon Ball Z's. The stuff that the shows that probably formulated us to be aggressive instead of just talking through our problems.
Yeah.
I've recently moved to much more low key animes, and it's been really nice.
Rather than beat the shit out of everything you see.
It's been really nice. I'm not gonna lie.
I did just finish Assassination Classroom.
Ooh, that's another one on the list.
Oh my god, that one's so good. It's weird, but it's kind of action oriented in the way of like we talked about on the podcast. Do you know the synopsis of it?
I know that it's like basically like the idea is that it's literally a class teaching people how to be assassins, and their final project is like killing the teacher or something like that.
So there's an alien that is one of his race.
Sure.
And he is literally a god.
Oh.
Like a god. No government on the planet can kill him, not even close.
Oh.
There was countries that killed themselves trying to kill him.
Oh.
And he loves it. It's funny to him. Like, he finds it fucking hilarious. And he's like, you know what? I'm bored. Like, this is fucking boring. So he says, I'm going to find this classroom of like, I think they're like sophomores in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, you have one, I think it's a school year. Maybe it's a semester. It's one of those. He says, you have this amount of time. The government cannot interfere. I want my own section of the planet. I want to do this. And, well, it doesn't end up being his own section of the planet. It ends up being their normal school. Ugh. And he goes in there and he says, if you all can't kill me within this school year, I'm blowing up the whole fucking planet.
Oh.
And I'll just move on to the next one.
Oh.
He says, but I'm going to teach you how to kill me. But you have to kill me within a year.
Man.
Okay. But he says the government cannot interfere. And the government even comes in with him. Like, it's either the president or, like, the head of, like, the military or whatever. And tells the kids, he's like, you know, our whole military and the entire world has tried to kill this guy. We couldn't do it. So your goal is save humanity.
Good luck.
And
good luck, buddy.
Good luck.
Have fun. Godspeed.
See you in a year. Like,
or not.
It's wild, and it's a very short anime. So any viewers that are watching, if you like an a show that's really short, that's an easy anime to get into. I'm not a huge anime guy, but that one, I loved that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, that one's really fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to touch on that I've got pulled up
Hit
is
me.
the thing that you brought up earlier, that I definitely want to get into this one. This is the Nahani Valley.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
Which the title says the Nahani Valley is creepier than any horror film.
Yep. So
what's the skinny on this?
What's
here?
the skitty here?
Should I pull up pictures? Would that be easier?
Probably not.
Okay, I'll just leave that. I'll just leave
just because of what it entails. So the Nahani Valley is kind of like a national park, but it is
back to the national park.
It's in Canada, right? So way back in the olden days, where like country borders weren't exactly a thing yet, and people like in the old colonial days would just go up north for like a winter season, go hunting, trapping, whatever, and just come back, right? The Nahani Valley has been notorious for people going there and just being like beheaded, and then like with no cause, no reason, for like 100 years, and I'm pretty sure it's like still happening.
It just happens.
It's just like so the one, like one of the first stories that I remember is like these two brothers. They go up north for a winter season, and they say they'll be back in the next season. They go up with like a helper guy. They stop along at forts on the way, like documenting that they were there. They go up for the season. It's been a year and they don't come back. And so their third brother is like, they're probably dead, but I'm gonna go find my brothers. He finally tracks them down to where their last, as it were, their last camping site was, mm-hmm. right? Only two of them were there, I think, or maybe all three of them were there. None of them had their heads, right? They find one guy, like, up against a rock, holding his rifle. Another guy away from him, like, reaching for something. And then the third guy is either gone or he was also just, like, whatever. And no cause, just no head. All their stuff is there, but no head.
Like, the head is gone. It's not just separated. It's gone.
It's gone. They don't find it.
They never find their heads.
Nah. And there's so many cases of the same thing. Like, somebody will go up there, build a cabin for a season, and then for some reason the cabin just burns down, but the way that the person is found is not natural to what happened. Like, they'll be found beheaded sitting at a table and their cabin burned down, or they'll be dead like in their bed.
They never find the head in any of these cases?
Whenever the head is gone, they don't find the head. But like sometimes when it's not always, it's called the Valley of the Headless Men, but not everyone is found without their head. The ones they find with the head are weirder because like the one, like his cabin burned down, but he was just laying down in his bed, seemingly died from the fire. So it's like,
you die from a fire in your
so
sleep.
like oh yeah, there's just some like serial killer up there, but this has been going on since like the early 1900s, mm-hmm. late 1800s. So it's like, what the fuck's going on up there?
Where are all them heads?
Yeah, where are the heads? So
where the heads at?
So no head.
So no head. Got him with it. That fucks me up. That's so weird. The unexplained ones like that, yeah, there could totally be an explanation for these things, but since there isn't, that leaves your brain to speculate.
Yep.
And that's where I have the most fun, is the speculation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because easily, there's probably a solution to half the shit we talked about in this episode.
Yeah.
But we don't have that solution, so what else do we do as humans? We fucking think of shit.
We speculate, we search for patterns, and when we don't know what's going on, we try to make sense of it, and that only just makes it worse.
Exactly. What ends up happening usually in the human history is that we make up this idea that kind of follows some patterns, and then eventually is just broken up into pieces. I mean, like our understanding of gravity has changed so much over the years. Like some of the shit we thought with gravity or with space was all hokey as fuck before,
yeah.
And now it's been disproven. Yeah. So like, for us to like come up with hokey shit, that's just what humans do. Yeah. We've been doing that for fucking
like think about astronomy, right? The Earth was the center of the solar system. No, the sun's the center of the solar system. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Our solar system is all there is. Oh no, there's a whole universe, there's a whole galaxy, a whole universe of galaxies.
Yep.
And it's like it's just we keep finding more and more out. And I think with this new telescope they got, we're just gonna end up finding more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And something's gonna give. People are gonna find something out.
I think there's a lot of things that we don't know that. There's a lot of things that people in our species know that we don't.
Yes.
And that we probably never will.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah.
There's definitely some weird shit, and for everybody saying, oh, it's always the government's fault, everybody always thinks it's the government. Well, the reason those thoughts are brought up is like, oh, the government knows and they don't tell us, because they've done that so many times.
Yeah.
Like, through the years of America, just America existing, how many times were stories told to us and then they turned out to be entirely false?
Yeah.
Like
Santa, bro, fucking George Washi, he was brought up Santa and we were like, Santa. Turns out he's fake.
Turns out fucking sham. What a sham. He's fucking people. To question your government is what the founding fathers wanted you to do.
Yep.
That's why our country is different.
Yep.
It's because we are pressed by our ancestors to question everything we're told.
Yep.
So for us to question things and come up with a hokey ass story,
that's just
it's kind of just part of the process.
Part of the course.
I mean, even if I did think the earth was hollow, who fucking cares?
Maybe it is.
Who fucking knows?
Are you going to go check?
I have no evidence that... I mean, I don't know. I don't know these things. I'm not a scientist. If a scientist told me, hey, there's no hollow earth and this is why, hell yeah, bro.
Sure.
Cool. I thought that anyways, but sweet. It's just the fact of... I like hearing stories. I like telling stories. And there's certain stories that are never going to add up. We're never going to know. And that just bothers me. I don't like not knowing.
You ever... I think since this is part of the title, it doesn't count. But have you ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
I saw a Netflix documentary about it,
right.
But I went to watch it, and it just seemed kind of weird. And I was like, "Is this like I don't remember what the Curse of Oak Island?" It kind of looked like that kind of shit. So I was like, "Okay." I didn't watch it.
The only thing that I can't handle from that location is that it's traded hands. So people that don't know, it's like a ranch out in the middle of nowhere. It's not peakable ground. It's not good for animals or plants or farming, whatever. But it's just this section of land that's owned by it's like traded hands so many times, and every time somebody new gets it, the government comes in and they're like, "Hey, this is your land. Do whatever you want. Just don't dig. You're not allowed to dig." And they're like, "Why?" They're like, "Just don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it."
And the amount of people that have been on that land, and they're like, I just constantly hear like rumbling and sounds from the fucking earth beneath me, and they tell me not to dig. What's going on under there? Like a lot of people are just like, it's like some kind of explosion testing site or whatever the fuck, and it's like.
So why is it called the Skinwalker Ranch?
Because a lot of freaky shit happens on there besides the rumbling under there. So like,
I should watch this documentary.
So the other stories is that people will have a lot of experiences with the old flesh walker boys. Have a lot of experiences there, like centered around that area. There's a lot of other stories. They'll see people just like popping out of portals and just being like, oh, and then back in.
Whoops!
I'm sorry.
Wrong bathroom.
And then it's like, what?
I think I need to watch this because in the trailer for the documentary series on Netflix, they were like, "Oh, we are gonna dig up the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch." That's why immediately it threw red flags to me, like the Curse of Oak Island.
Yeah, because like if you made this thing, you didn't do it.
Yeah,
because we would have never seen it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that sucks about those kind of documentaries is it's never the solution you want.
Yeah, it's always like kind of a somewhat solution that you saw coming, and more questions. It's like, well, we'll find out next time.
Because if that documentary proves that either there's something down there that either the government's doing, aliens or some other fucking species, or that it proves that skinwalkers are real, it would not be shown to the public.
No.
It would not. So it's like...
Or they would do like a stealth release like that, totally confirming it, and they just don't draw attention to it.
I would love that.
That'd be cool.
I would love that. You see, we'll just never know. We're never going to be of the population that knows.
It's only on YouTube Premium, though.
They release it only on YouTube
so
Premium.
You know nobody's going to see it.
No, yeah. Who fucking has that? Just kidding, YouTube. I love you.
Just kidding.
But yeah, the skinwalker idea is such a weird thing because there are so many fucking weird stories like that like people just... The weird ones are the ones that like is a group thing, is like labeled group psychosis kind of thing.
Mass hysteria,
Mass
all that
hysteria
kind of shit.
type shit, like where a group now adds an additional person or two, and then that additional person or two are then gone, and then they didn't find it weird until they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is really weird. But there's also really fucking crazy people in the world that just fucking... Like I said, humans make stories. So who's to say those stories are even fucking true or not?
Yeah.
But who are we to judge? We're just the SchmutzCast fucks.
Yeah.
We're just those guys. So what I'll say is thank you for watching this one and all the previous episodes beforehand. I love doing this tinfoil hat shit. It's so much fun. It's so fun. It's like, it just gets my brain rolling. I love it. I love the unknown. I love the shit that we just fucking make shit up in our heads. Like, because honestly, knowing the answer probably wouldn't be anywhere near as fun as the answers we make up.
It's the chase, really.
Yeah.
Like, just... Everybody wants to feel like Indiana Jones a little bit.
Exactly.
I want a cool hat and a whip and find some... I want to find Agartha.
I want to be there. I want to see King Kong.
I want to be cool.
So I think that's going to be partially what me and Spencer do on our episodes is kind of just go into shit that nobody fucking really cares about, to be honest.
No.
Like the rest of the Schmutz guys, I think John may be interested. I think he wanted to be on this one with us, but didn't work out. But the rest of the guys, they don't get into the hokey shit. Like, and I say hokey respectfully because
it's not for everybody.
It's not, because like it's in a way it's learning a story that you don't get the ending to. Yeah. Like, and it's interesting. It's really cool to think about things like that. But then there's certain people that go too far and then become people like Alex Jones. And that's when it becomes a problem. But if we're just doing this, we can clearly say to you, it's not. We don't know these answers, and it's probably not as crazy as we'd like it to be. But it's interesting.
We're opening up a conversation, and like if you think it's interesting, cool, go do some research, and you can decide for yourself if you think it's dumb or not.
Yeah.
And if not, you learn something cool.
Yeah, and like that's a story that you can go be like, well, I heard that there was this fucking headless, the Valley of the Headless Men or something. They tell your grandpa about it or some shit. I don't know.
And he was like, oh yeah, I was there back in 1906.
1906, my boy got decapitated.
I saw some real freak shit. Like, whoa! Grandpa!
Whoa!
Let's talk about that, Grandpa.
There was an orgy in the woods. So... yeah, this is going to be kind of our thing. I think this is definitely going to be a thing that we keep doing because it seems like you all enjoyed it the last time we got into some like random ass like thought-provoking shit.
Love to see it. Very cool. Very flattered. I know it's not just because of me, but no, stop it.
My man's.
No.
So it is really fun, and I appreciate Spencer for coming back.
Appreciate you for having me. It's always a good time.
Always a fun time, and we can always like me and Spencer. We could go fucking 20 years. We sit back on this couch, and it's fucking right
as you just saw. He just burnt an hour talking about nothing for the first half.
Nothing. And like it's really cool to see the support of the SchmutzCast and And brand new news, you may have saw on Twitter, we are now on Apple Podcasts as well. So you can find this episode and future past episodes, anything, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If there's any other services you all want, let me know and I'll inquire about those, see if we can make that happen.
It's on Deezer.
It's on Deezer. So that's going to be coming down the pipeline. We're still on a fiery trail with the SchmutzCast. Also, forgot to mention this last week. I should have mentioned this. We got a very generous donation. I don't want to put names out there unless somebody wanted their name put out there, but you can specify later. We got a generous donation to the SchmutzCast, and it's going into the SchmutzCast fund for better equipment in the future.
Nice.
So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. No matter what donation it is, we appreciate every cent, dollar, dime, tip, whatever. Send us in questions at Schmutz or the SchmutzCollective.godaddy.com, GoDaddySites.com. Thank you.
You're fucking kidding me.
I know, I don't even remember my own site.
It's your own website.
It's my own website. Send questions there. You can do hashtag SchmutzCast on Twitter. We'll hit your questions there. New videos coming soon on YouTube. I'm trying to think of new ideas to branch out into music and movie-related content. The gaming content's doing great, but I'm not just doing it for the amount of views I get. I want to fully enjoy it. I do enjoy making the gaming videos, but I had the idea of this whole channel and this whole idea as something to branch out in different media and see how those medias coexist together. So this has been SchmutzCast. Don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's a little side episode, the filler episode. Well, this is our anime filler arc.
Love it.
So, this has been SchmutzCast. I'm PoppaSchmutz.
I'm Spencer. Don't follow me. Don't follow me on anything. I will not accept it.
He won't. He won't.
But love you all.
He is in the Schmutz lore now, so thank him for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for watching. Thanks all around.
The preparation was huge. Being able to bring these topics to me, it was great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you again.
Peace out, folks. Have you a good one.